What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Shout out to a new episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. This is going to be an open panel. We'll see where this goes. It's a couple of things I got on my mind, a couple of topics, current events, maybe quote unquote manosphere politics, you know, on my mind right now. Maybe a little bit of business talk. There'll be a lot of different things that we're going to talk about. As far as how long this will be, I'm aiming for maybe like 2 hours. I don't want this to turn into be like a forever thing. Um, so there's that. So anyway, let you all trickle in here, and I'm gonna drop the link soon. I just want you all to get in here. Definitely, like the video as usual. Check in with a like. Um, so anyway, let's start here. So I've been talking about this for a while now, and I've been kind of gearing some stuff up. I've had to actually move. A lot of things been going on. At the end of the day, I've been talking to you all about a launch of a new channel. So what I might do is I might put a post out. I'm gonna tell you. In fact, I'm gonna tell you all what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create an app that I use. It's probably one of my favorite apps is Telegram. Telegram is basically appreciate that Sam. I definitely appreciate the super chat. And I'm definitely speaking of that, there's gonna be some new benefits and features to like when I actually launch this into a channel. Like things like when people give me a super chat over, if it's $10, I'm definitely will probably dedicate like a video, a 10-minute video, 15-minute video on something, which you all know how much I can talk and think I'm shortchanging you, but it'll be an upload. I know I still got some things with Roastmaster that I never did as far as and I take accountability for that. That's just me being lazy as shit. I do a lot that's based on being inspired, but I got to do the old school television series with how, black women are portrayed then versus black women are portrayed now. Because it's definitely something that could be comparisons. So I'll probably do that in like a little presentation kind of thing. It'll be upgraded as far as how I present a lot of this content. Although it'll still be a lot of switching around experimental stuff. It'll definitely be me upgrading how I do it. That'll be one of the things. I'm not doing a Patreon right now. I mean the truth, and if I do a Patreon, the pay gate might just be $1. Here's the thing: the only purpose of me doing a Patreon, the true purpose. And in fact, there's different ways I think I'm gonna do it, but the true purpose of me doing a Patreon would be for the purpose to further separate some of the things that I'm gonna bring into the manosphere. What's up, Golden Eagle? Versus some of the more hardcore stuff. But I think, to be honest, that I'm capable of package. I'm a good enough communicator as to where I can package a lot of my ideas in a certain way that is more. It's not about it being more palatable, but it does not affect other things that I do. Because at the end of So anyway, my point is the overall goal is for me to kind of make the channel kind of based on what I always intended it to be, which is kind of like more of a barbershop talk kind of situation. It'll allow for like interviews, and I mean real interviews, not interviews where I'm just running my mouth off and then people are just hearing me talk. I mean real interviews where you get to hear and I'm actually asking very questions to get a good information and outcome in it. Interviews, more consistent streams, as far as panels, more consistent like actual uploaded videos. Get back to reading out current events, giving my thoughts, or really just doing that in a more quick, efficient way. Obviously the cosmetics of everything is going to look better. It'll apply a lot of my skills that I already know how to do to actually building this channel now. And so one of the things that I do want to do, because I know I told y'all at the end of the day I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and damn you if you don't like it, and I completely stand by that shit. But at the same time, one of my favorite apps is Telegram. And as an incentive to get you all on, I'm gonna create a Telegram page around this channel and to get you all and get you all to use Telegram and to join that. And that's it's nothing to join. It's Telegram is no different than how you use Cash App. Basically, Telegram is you sign up with your phone number, and then basically you create a username, but you can create multiple. It doesn't matter. You can use Telegram in many different ways. It's basically WhatsApp, but it's a very good service. And the reason why I'm gonna use Telegram is because Telegram allows you to get around the algorithm. For those of you all, Tackman Clan Killer has been talking about, they keep missing my streams. This is going to allow you all to engage, to get my streams as they come in. You all be able to get them, get access to them. You all be able to. It's a much more dynamic way of you all commenting, because you can comment. Instagram got a lot of how, like, the fact you can do voice comments, you can share links, which you kind of can do, You can share pictures. It allows you all to get a lot more personality in what you all are doing. Obviously, still comment on YouTube. That stuff helps as far as social signals. But this is kind of like a backdoor for folks that kind of want to, be like really members as to what I'm doing without me forcing you all to pay for anything. It's not that I don't believe in the YouTube membership. I mean, I appreciate all those people who's doing that, and I understand that, but I want this to be more value add. That's where I'm going. Also, this is going to allow you all to kind of, the beginning kind of campaign is going to allow you all to kind of have a voice into what you all want me to try to cover. So as I'm kind of formulating how to angle certain things that I'm going to cover and how I'm going to go about it, you all going on that Telegram will allow you all to give an unadulterated opinion in a way where I can see that real time as to what you all would like me to cover based on what you've seen, things you want me to keep, stuff like that. And that's going to be the first instance. So I'll probably be creating that page at the end of the day. Another thing, I already have a Telegram. I've had it for a year. Shout out to all of y'all that's in it. It's a group, and I like it. I mean, Facebook has its uses, but I like this a lot more better, because for people, everybody's not gonna have a Facebook account. Everybody doesn't necessarily want to create a troll account. It's good. It's a lot more engaging, and I only have 18 people in there. At its height, it's had 20. And shout out to everybody in there. But this is actually not going to be a group. And I'm not expanding that one because I keep that one small for a purpose, because I trust everybody in there. And then if I add somebody into that group, in fact, a lot of the people in that group have my actual phone number, so I trust them, and they also have some stuff to lose. So anyway, so I can really let it rip. But this is going to be more like a page. So it'll still be me. So it's me kind of just sending stuff to you all, but you all can still put stuff in there and comment and everything like that. And it's very good. It's very useful. And we're in a situation where a lot of people are much more comfortable using apps like that. So it's not such a big leap for me to have you all do that. And like I said, the main purpose of it would be you all can say what you want to say a lot more freer. You all can leave voice comments. So you could just press a button and talk. Hell, you all can leave picture, Instagram, micro video, 1-minute comments if y'all want to. You all can upload pictures. It gives you all a lot greater ability to do what y'all need to do in a space where we can do it. I may do another group because that actually allow y'all to add stuff, but probably I'll keep it to a page. And like I said, Telegram is like a really good app out there, especially for people that are not trying to give up their phone number and stuff. And it has a lot of really good uses for people to use it. I don't know how deep you all are into Instagram as far as groups and stuff, but Instagram is good. But and I use Instagram as well, but everybody's not necessarily gonna be on Instagram. This kind of allows you all to engage with me if you all are not trying to put your social media out there. Because the thing about Instagram is great, but obviously if you're joining groups and you're doing stuff like that, people can see your pictures, stuff like that, and everybody might not be willing to do that. This allows you to do it in a way to protect your privacy and data. Protects you. All you all are doing is really using the username. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about I want to do it now because this gives me the opportunity to basically the next 3 months, really get that. So it's already done. Like, it's going to be happening right now as far as the stuff I'm going to do, but that stuff I carry its own momentum going into 2021. Also, I will be doing blogs and articles and stuff like that, but that stuff is going to come when that's going to come. Like, I'm not going to commit to doing like 3 articles a week or something like that. I may do like 3 articles a month. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because the purpose of that, I was listening to BGS's video. Let me drop the link. I was listening to BGS's video, the one he recently did talk about protecting the sacred space or space. And one of the things is a lot of stuff needs to be archived and categorized. A lot of stuff needs, a lot of the 5 mic content needs to be, saved. It needs to, and part of me creating a blog will allow stuff to kind of take a video, put all the resources under the video, and really put like really good things as to what people stand for. Shout out to EHBM for really doing that or starting to do that. Other sites have tried, have done it as well. So it's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very interesting where that goes. And like I said, it's gonna be a lot of different stuff that's gonna be talked about. But at the same time, I don't want to make the channel be everything. That's not what it's going to be. Like if I want to talk like for real, like if I talk about sports, I'm going to be talking about what these dudes are doing off the court as far as their life. And I mean, not so much gossip will be a part of it, but I'm talking about, are they doing investments? Are they doing stuff like that? The same thing if I talk about music, like if I talk about Ray J, I'm not going to talk about the song Ray J did. I'm going to talk about like Raycon. It's going to be stuff like that because those things serve as an example of, where other people can aim for. So it's still going to always come back to the same thing. If I want to talk about sports as far as the X's and O's of sports, that's going to be on another channel. And you'll probably see me on like Ticket TV and stuff like that a little bit more. That's going to be on another channel. If I talk about like, geekdom stuff, that will be on another channel. And I'm not going to create a whole bunch of channels. What I may do is I may just support somebody that's already doing something I want to do. Like, for example, Roger and Kevin, them, they do an entertainment channel. So what I may do is support that, get, Artemis all, Charles, and we go over there because that's kind of like the stream they want to upload to have that. So we support that rather than me trying to create multiple channels, doing multiple things, and then I'm diluting what I'm trying to do. Because you only have a certain amount of time to do what you're trying to do. This stuff is still going to talk about the gynocracy. It's still going to talk about the dynamics of what's going on. But at the same time, the now what conversation is going to be a lot more prevalent. And really, when it comes to the gynocracy and all that stuff is going to be more converted into uploaded video. So I can take a point, I can create a library. And not only do I create a library, I'm also going to point people to where people that actually have this stuff really drawn out. So Dr. Tia San Johnson, BTS, even older Jason Black videos, all these things are going to be pointed out. And then some of those videos, if I see they're really, really good, I'm definitely going to save those videos and I may re-upload them on another platform, link somewhere. This is where like shout out to Avenger comes into play, to where that stuff can actually be preserved. Because one of the things that doesn't happen in the manosphere that needs to happen is we need to do a better job in getting people gamed up. We need to do a good job getting people gamed up, who they need to see, what they need to listen to, what they need to look at, who are the people that can be trusted, who are the people that are good based on what type of information they're trying to get, what type of personality they're trying to get. And we need to just, because what happens is people come into this space and we don't really think about that. People are coming into this space new all the time and they don't really know what's up. So they get a hold of anybody that pretty much strikes their fancy as far as personality wise. And then they see everything through their lens. And a lot of times you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Or they may know what they're talking about, but they have an agenda behind what they're talking about. And that's not really disclosed. And then people are starting to argue. So you have to kind of deprogram people as well as re-give them the information as it needs to be. Because at the end of the day, the only thing, the manosphere is here to make you aware. What you do with that is up to you. It's up to you. And you are accountable. You are accountable to who you listen to, who you decide to take information from. That is your choice. And so with that being said, did I drop the link? Yeah, I dropped the link. Let me break down a couple of things here. Number one, I appreciate everybody that donates to me. I appreciate, people, I'm at what, 47 people. It'll get bigger. A lot of that's because I'm shadow banned. Because I used to be able to get up to 100 really so quickly. But like I said, I got something for that. I got something for that for YouTube on that. That Telegram shit will solve all those problems. I mean, I'm on Twitter too, but yeah. Like I said, Telegram is what I'm looking. It may be a little bit of Telegram, a little bit of Twitter, depending on y'all don't want to do something different. But Telegram is the most private way of you all kind of getting around the algorithm without you all setting up accounts and having accounts y'all got to worry about. But understand something. One of the things that's about this space is, and I'm kind of responding to the video BGS did, is you got a lot of dudes that, well, let me say this and let me be directly to the point. Nobody's asking anybody to listen to anybody. You know, I don't understand why people listen to fucking RBR, but people listen to him. I don't listen to him. I've never been on his channel, heard him speak for more than 2 minutes on his own shit. If that, I've never been to his channel. I think about it, but people listen to him, and that is what it is. You don't see me making this whole campaign saying that people shouldn't listen to RBR and constantly on it and say I'm go disprove RBR, because at the end of the day, if I think somebody's full of shit, that will be borne out in the stuff they say. Let them hang themselves. Let them rise and fall on their own, unless they're doing like absolute damage, like on calling some people competitors and shit like that, which is slander. Then I'm not worried about that. But that's a direct attack. What's up, Robert Wooden? But do people, and I'm talking about the men particularly, because you see some of the women do it, but it's mainly the men. Men in this space that you listen to people, but you don't like people, or you feel a certain type of way about what somebody says to the point where you want to call them out. Call them out personally, not try to actually argue the point. You know, fuck you, you're a bitch ass nigga. And I'm gonna tell you why you're a bitch ass nigga. You are a bitch ass nigga if you fit this category. Now, there's certain YouTubers I give an escape hatch for on this, because it's different being a content creator. It's a different dynamic. But I'm talking about audience people. Because if you don't like something, nobody's asked you to listen. You're not paying for it. You're not being taxed. There is so many other places on YouTube, so many other people that might match your personality. I'm not selling anything to you. I'm putting out my experience. I'm putting out what I think. People can take that for what it is. Nobody elected me. Nobody voted for me. I'm just somebody putting shit out there in the ether. And if people find value in it, I am very humbled by that, because I actually sell coaching. And when I say sell coaching, I don't mean in this space. I mean in other spaces. I actually sell digital products, and basically the coaching kind of comes along with it. So in that, people are buying an opportunity that ultimately it's on them to make it work. But I am much more, I feel like, and actually people have coached me that I shouldn't feel this way, but, I don't want to see people fail. And if people invested money in me, I see that as trust. As far as, they see, because when you sell like an opportunity, you're not just selling an opportunity. You're selling yourself first. Then you're selling the team or the company, and then you're selling the actual product. And then if you get them to buy if you get them to basically say yes to all three, that is when people typically buy into going to your team. And even though ultimately it's somebody's responsibility, my job is to create a clear path to you getting this and this. So if it's not working, I can point to, okay, are you doing this and doing this and doing that? So the likelihood, if you put the effort in, you'll get the result. If you put the effort, and I can point to you not putting the effort if you're not getting the result. But I don't ever want to be in a situation where I bring somebody into something and then they don't know what to do, and I don't know what to tell them to do, and I don't have options for them based on their own personality, because everybody's not going to do everything the same way, because everybody's different. So I provide multiple, but that's not what I do here. What I do here is I'm investing, because make no mistake, I'm not even investing because I don't really expect anything in return, but I am giving my time to basically give my insight. And at the end of the day, the only thing people have to pay is to watch. And if people want to contribute, I completely appreciate that. But this is to the people that watch. A lot of y'all that shadow watch, and even though I appreciate everybody that watch, at the end of the day, I don't have to prove anything to you. I could be a broke ass nigga, homeless, and I'm doing this on my surface, on the side of a road for all you know. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, nobody's asking you to listen to me. And I've said, this is not the first time I've said this. If I don't buy into what somebody is saying, I don't listen to them. But if you're one of these people that y'all like to hate listen, that's not an adult. It's not even about being a male or a female. I don't even have respect for women that operate like that. No, hell no, Stone Man. Stone Man said you getting an online course. No, nigga, everything's not about dating. I'm talking about business. I don't know if you're being sarcastic. I'll take that. I'll take that as that. But come on now. No, I'm not talking about that. No. And first of all, and here's the thing. Okay, so I'm glad Stone M said this. Why do you all think I promote Glendon Cameron so much? Quite a few of you all told me you don't like Glendon. That's your right. But what I am saying, the reason why I promote Glendon is because I think, as far as actionable information, as far as somebody learning to get women, not just black women, but any kind of woman that can speak to getting black women, though, that's gotten his shit together. I think Glendon can give you the best actionable information. I think the information he provides, the information that he provides on that aspect for free, and he sells $300 courses that people buy, by the way, for free, is better than any information I think you can get out there, especially amongst black men, as far as an actual free YouTube channel that's focused on that. I think he can give you actual actionable information and actual insight. It's not to mean that other people can't, but I mean information you can actually take, use, work with, and make work. So that's why I refer to him, because he is an expert in that. My job is not to know everything. My job is to know where, if I don't know something, somebody that does, and they can give you a really good value add for that. That's my job. And I often tell people in some of the business stuff that I do, because it is based around social media, it is based around, making phone calls, it is based around you being able to elevate your value in someone. People will often tell me, like, well, I haven't done anything, so how can I lead other people to things I haven't been at? I said the only thing you have to do is demonstrate you know what the path to success is, and demonstrate that anything you don't know, where the experts are, where you can get them help in that to get that outcome. That's all you need, because the reality is, and this is one thing that people don't. I got you, Super Drake. This is one thing people don't understand about YouTube or the internet. This like infinite resource. You don't have to, like, CNN doesn't break news most of the time. They don't break news. Hell, half the damn time they're getting the shit they say that's breaking news, they're getting from the lower on the ground local affiliates, even when they say they're breaking news. But what CNN does is they serve as an aggregation for information. And this is why most of the stuff on CNN, CNBC, or anywhere that they branded as CNN is just information that they aggregated that's saving you time because you don't know where it is. This is why BGS is so valuable. He is a hub for aggregation of information. Even though he is an expert in a lot of things, even things he's not an expert in, he has people that are PhD level that can speak to that or reinforce what he's talking about. Hold on, what's Stone him say? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna bring you in on Super Triz. But most people are concerned with receipts. There are too many make-believe pimps players out here. Okay, and Glendon Cameron has all the receipts that you need. This is another reason why I'm promoting him. He has receipts as far as money. The dude used to be homeless. He has receipts as far as bitches. So my thing is, here's the problem. Again, and I'm glad you said this, because this comes back to what the fuck I said first. You all are accountable to who you listen to. So I can tell you right now, I don't have to give anybody receipts for goddamn thing, because I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for shit. So there is no like, only thing, as far as I'm concerned, people can listen for entertainment if they want to. So I may give receipts, I may not. And at the end of the day, I don't want to hear nobody say shit about it. I don't want to hear nobody ask me anything personal, because guess the fuck what? The first thing I'm going to ask is, so what are you buying from me? Is there a product that I'm selling you that I didn't think I was selling? No. So what the fuck are you asking me anything for? Like, let's be clear here. All the quote unquote receipts that people give, when people buy shit in their daily lives, they don't ask for receipts. And I'm not saying you all shouldn't ask for receipts. You should be skeptical. Of course you should be skeptical. If anybody's outright selling you anything, you need to be fucking skeptical. You damn sure does. But if we're not selling you anything, then I don't know what the fuck. I don't know shit. For all you know, Bernard Riley could be lying about being married. That doesn't stop people from giving him super chats. My point is, there's this idea that this politicking where people like to ask for receipts and shit. That's just an excuse. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna bring you in super chats. If you all don't agree with what's being said or 100%, because you shouldn't agree with anybody 100%. You all can, and I say you, I ain't talking about my audience, I'm talking about anybody listening to this in this camp. You all can create a fucking channel. If you don't like, this is one thing that BGS kind of alluded to that I'm gonna say. Guess the fuck what? If you think that there's something in the manosphere, there's a need for the manosphere to fill a gap or a perspective that's not being filled, create a fucking channel. Guess the fuck what? When this channel was created around the idea that nobody was talking about the gynocracy enough. Nobody was like BGS was alluding to it and he talked about it, but I don't think the actual evangelization of talking about that goddamn gynocracy, because people need to know what it is, say the word, understand what it is, because this is a big aspect of the environment that you are in and you deal with on a daily basis. Because everybody will talk about the white men and white supremacy. We talk about what you see in your face every fucking day, right? What you grow up with in your house. That white man ain't in your house. Those females are. And this is not about blaming anybody. It's about understanding how that psychology affects you. So I said over the couple of years, I'm going to talk about niggas are tired of me taking over shit on the Coliseum. So let me talk about this gynocracy and do my little contribution. And I did that. You all came. Some people are falling off. They get tired of it. They think it's just me talking about women. And now finally I'm going to, switch things up and kind of expand it. But at the end of the day, I didn't even have my super chats on for up until like 3-4 months ago. But the thing is, I took it upon myself. Now, is this lazy as shit how I do it? Did I just turn the phone off, start running my mouth? Yeah, but guess what? You all can see now that that's all you really have to do. And if people resonate with that, then they're gonna follow you. You don't need all the extra shit. You can get the extra shit later. So that's the value. But my point is, if you all have an opinion, you all need to create a channel. Run your mouth and see if people validate what you're talking about. Hell, and you don't even have to have mine, usually 3,500 subscribers. Roger doesn't. Like, a lot of these people don't have a lot of subscribers. Ty City doesn't. Everybody starts from somewhere. So my point is, 30 seconds. And my point is, you all need to basically create your own little platform, no matter how big and small it is. The Black Brain Trust isn't large like that. And they have a lot of value add. And then you said it so people can come to your stuff, and then you can have a conversation where if you're willing to be scrutinized, you can do it in a controlled way. And then it's very clear if you're hiding from certain things. And I'm talking about as far as the point, because when people start to ask me like me to prove shit, me to prove that, I'm like, I don't think you motherfuckers don't know what the fuck this is. I'm not asking you for shit. I'm not even asking you to watch. And last time I checked, the freedom of speech in this country is freedom of speech. So y'all need to stop getting it twisted. Fuck that bullshit where you think somebody got to prove shit to you. You ain't nobody. You ain't shit, nigga. And I would say the same thing to any female. And this isn't somebody that said something, I'm just talking shit. I'm just saying that so I can make it sure. If you all got a problem, create a fucking channel. And I have no problem going on that motherfucker and seeing what the fuck you got to say. See what the fuck you got to say, absence of you being able to blame anybody. Absence of you being able to disagree with anybody. Now you have to put out your own thesis. And what you find is when people put out their own thesis, you realize they don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the damn time. And that's why a lot of y'all don't do it. Y'all try to make it like it's hard. It ain't hard. You just got to do YouTube, live, the plus button, live, talk. The same shit I do. What I do is not sophisticated. If you want to get a panel, StreamYard, and now StreamYard is white boys made, so you do it from your phone. Now, if you got an iPhone, you're out of luck because I don't know what StreamYard does not like Apple for some reason. But shit, you can get a phone for $50. You can get a cheap phone to do this for $50 and be on Wi-Fi. Anyway, I know I've been running my mouth for a minute, but anyway, we'll start with Super Triz. What do you think of what I've said so far? We're gonna switch it up. I just wanted to, give people time to get up in this station.
Well, what's going on, Edward Anderson? Shout out to everybody in the live chat. So I have a little bit different perspective, Edward. And I think oftentimes in this space, people often preface.
Hold on, nigga, you gonna come on my channel and you have the nerve to have a different perspective?
Absolutely. You know how I move. Yeah, but sometimes I gotta play devil's advocate, but oftentimes people come into this space or any space for that matter, and they preface their statements a certain way that yields context. So if I say I have a particular perspective, and then I kind of briefly state, who I am and what I am, that gives context to my statements that come after that. So if I have a particular perspective about black women, and then I say, well, as a black man, that's my preference. That's my preface. And so as a preface, that context kind of yields a little bit of validity to the statement, and also in certain instances, sincerity. Like if I'm from a particular demographic and I speak on a demographic that I represent, people can often assume that it's coming from a place of sincerity as opposed to just trying to castigate a particular demographic. So when you actually preface things like that, a lot of times people question whether you are who you say you are. And so this is the reason why oftentimes people quote unquote ask for receipts, because if you make certain statements, especially statements that you kind of indicate you being different from the mainstream. For instance, the interesting conversation about high value men, right? Now, if you categorize yourself as high value man, people may want to see receipts. Like, well, wait a minute now. You're trying to say that you're in the top, whatever, 5%, 10%, whatever the case may be. You're saying that you make, $10,000 a month, but we need to see some receipts. You may not necessarily see a pay stub, but I mean, if you could at the bare minimum cam up, so that way we can kind of see, because like if you living in a squalor, then chances are you're not who you say you are if you claim to be a quote unquote high value man. That's just one example. So I think that, in certain instances that's important, because, one more example. There's a particular YouTuber who's made disparaging comments about black men consistently. And so when you hear that type of commentary, then the question then becomes, well, what type of man is in your life? Since you have these quote unquote these high standards. And so oftentimes people want to ask, if you have this high standard about men, what type of men are you dealing with? And so in that particular instance, I can understand people wanting to see some type of receipts, because now you're making claims that you're a part of an exclusive club, that you deal with a certain caliber of men. And for some men, you deal with a certain caliber of women. And so, for my particular case, at a time when I used to stream a lot, I didn't turn on my cam every time I got online, but I did turn on my cam. Nobody can say that I never cammed up. I cammed up several times. I cammed up inside my home. I cammed up in my vehicle. I cammed up just out and about. So it wasn't like a case where I was trying to hide or trying to portray myself to be something that I wasn't. You saw me on cam. I was everything I said I was. And so that's my particular perspective on the whole quote unquote showing receipts. Now, you ain't got to, like I said, you don't have to, certain things, like you don't have to cross certain boundaries. Like maybe you don't want to show, your pay stub or something like that. And, maybe you don't want to, a lot of guys ask for receipts as far as women is concerned. A lot of times that's like cross the line, because if you're dealing with a woman and she's not a public figure, or she's not a YouTuber, she may not want her identity out and about, but I mean, maybe if you're a dating coach, that may be a little bit different story. You may want to show yourself out in the field, but the point is that there has to be some sort of transparency, even a little bit. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I can understand that. And I'm going to get Archer in a minute and then get Joe in. But I want to respond to that really, really quick. It won't be a whole long soliloquy, a monologue. Son is a hot rod. Shout out to you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I found out the other day that black women refer to black men now as a bullet bag, basically cashing in on our death by the hands of the police. How wicked-hearted do you have to be to call your own men that? I mean, it's the same thing with the sperm donor. I'm glad you said that, because I'm definitely gonna look at that. Because one thing I might do is a show called Slang for Squares. So all of the new slang that the millennials are coming up with, a lot of niggas don't know what truffle butter is, which is horrible in my opinion. The bullet bag thing is something I didn't know what the fuck. That's an emerging thing, and in other words, because every black person don't know every slang term. Like I'm gonna admit this right now. You all can call me square if you want to. I give no fucks. I don't know what y'all niggas keep talking about capping. I don't know what the fuck that means. That's why
yo, Edward, man, I gotta say something to you right quick. You keep apologizing for you being long-winded. That is part of your goddamn appeal. Like when you're long-winded and you say, "I'm gonna stop." That's the most disappointing shit you say in your whole diet.
You know why? You know why I do that? It's because number one, it lets people know, look, I understand that that can be annoying to certain people. That's something I've been coached on in sales and in other things. It's not just because of here. So I understand that could be annoying, you know, and also y'all gonna start to see, y'all don't want me to actually be focused enough where I can control that shit.
But here
a lot
it's
of time, yeah, absolutely. But it is what it is. It lets people know I acknowledge it, but at the same time, it's only so far that I'm gonna go with it. Like for the most part, yeah, we could get into that. But that bullet bag shit is horrible. I will say this though. You know, one thing that people don't point out is Breonna Taylor is pretty much, I won't say it's the first case, but the most synonymous case right now where they cashed out because they could have got more money if they would have held out. They could have. The fact that they were willing to give them $12 million usually is an indicator if they would have waited, they could have got 10 times more. But the problem is what they're all the way a family is always presented with, especially a family of black people, where we know what the economics are, is do you really want to play the 10-year game or the 5-year game where you're dealing with the city where they can just wait, they can wait your ass out. And then on top of that, the shit ain't gonna be as much in the media and all that. And then that's also what's a big incentive for them to do what they're trying to do. And this is not just a corporation. You're dealing with a city which has a lot more longer time scale. It's not necessarily thinking about profit margin. So I'm
glad you brought that up too, Mr. Edwards.
Yes, but this is a first example that Breonna was, her life was worth $12 million. And in her, that's so even with the bullet bag shit, that even though, like I said, black men are getting killed a lot more. Black men get killed at more than 10 times the rate of black women are getting killed when it comes to police. But I appreciate women coming up with terms like this because this allows us to really get an insight into how they really think. And this is stuff that dudes have alluded to anyway. Even Jason Black has stated that he was going to start caping for people to get killed because too many times it's not about them taking the money. He has no problem with that. And I don't either. I have a problem with them telling people to calm down and telling people to calm the fuck down. And, you know, allowing themselves to be used as this way of trying to control Negroes. You know, that's the issue I have. That's not for you to deal with that. If people are, because it's not about, at the end of the day, it's not about your daughter. Your daughter is a representative of a black person. And it's kind of like saying, okay, let's say a woman was in a relationship. Let's say you have a cousin that's in a relationship with a man, and that man just whoops the shit out of her. Let's assume she doesn't do anything to warrant her getting her ass whooped. And even still, I wouldn't just like whooping the shit out of her, but she gets her ass whooped. And let's say her immediate family, for whatever reason, decides that in a rare case, it doesn't warrant them doing anything. And yes, they got males in immediate family. Okay, that's still your blood. If that's still your first cousin, that's still your blood too. So if you decide to do something to that man, I'm not legally, you may be wrong, but are you morally wrong? When you know she's not doing anything to warrant getting her ass whooped, how would the family look by telling you, well, this is our sister or our daughter, so we decide to handle this? No, clearly you're not handling it because she's still getting her ass whooped. So now it's time to take it out of your hands because for whatever fucking reason you've decided to not deal with it. Because it's not so much. It's almost about protecting her, but it's also about making it known it's not okay to do this to anybody in our family, and somebody's gonna address it, even if the immediate people don't. And it's the same thing with women, where a lot of times women will get in front of an abuser when the men want to handle that dude, even in the immediacy. And at that point, you have to learn how to veto females and say, okay, you all don't have a capability of actually making a decision that is conducive to your own health and well-being. So I'm going to take it out of your hands because at the end of the day, I'm overriding your ass. Because then later on, you'll be talking about why didn't I do it before? So, but anyway, that's that. As far as the receipts thing, yes, I understand where you're coming from, Super Triz, and that's a valid point. But that just depends on what it is. All that stuff, it has to do with money. Is it coaching? What's being sold? And even amongst the like the situation, because I don't see it here in Travel City, the situation where it's like Kevin, the thing that I ask myself personally is, have I heard people that I know are at that level say the same things that he's saying? And I have. I've heard many, I know quite a few people at that level, black men at that level. And I can tell you, they say the same things. They're just not as open about it. So if he was saying something that was completely out of alignment with what they generally say, then I would it's not so much I would question it, but I would put that out. I would say something and put that out there, and then let people resonate with that as they will. But he hasn't done that yet, and the truth is, it doesn't matter. Even if you show receipts isn't going to stop people from coming at you. Like so, like let me give you a perfect example. Minister Jack. Nobody questions if Minister Jack can get a black woman to fuck, because people forget Minister Jack used to be a local rapper in Chicago. So he has that juice, that nigga juice that the women like. My point is, he says some of the worst shit about black women are the hardcore shit more than anybody in the manosphere. So my point is, that doesn't stop people from shutting his channel down. That doesn't stop people from coming after him. You see his face. You see he got pictures of women licking his ass. Niggas stay in the fucking club. So from what he talks about, he's got all those spaces covered. That doesn't stop people from hating on his ass though. So it doesn't matter. The truth is, for a lot of folks, it doesn't matter what you show. We've seen people that hasn't. Jason Black has raised $250,000 more than a few times. Tariq Nasheed has done so. So nobody's questioning if he's a millionaire or anything like that. Yet people still come for these people because it's. So you're speaking to people with super serious that are like what I call independents. That's cool. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people that just hating just to be hating. And there's a lot more than dudes, folks that are independents, because usually folks that are independents can usually they don't need receipts to diverge if people are lying or not, because they can read in between the lines of what they say based on what they know, kind of what I'm saying. But anyway, Archer, you go.
Oh,
and then we're gonna you rebuttal what I'm saying, and then Archer, and then I'm gonna jump right to Joe.
For the record, Jason Black shows receipts. He has receipts.
Yeah, he does.
Just real quick. Obsidian mentioned something in the comment section, and he said he mentioned what about the other 5 points as defined by Kevin Samuels, but Kevin Samuels specifically said, I'm just going by what he said. He said high value starts at income. So it's like one of those do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Yep, and he has said that. He is said that. That is and also
Edward, bro, we've all seen Kevin Samuels' videos. I've seen what kind of cars he drives.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Archer, let me cut you off. If you ain't seen more than hold on, Archer. If you ain't seen more than 5 hours or 6 hours of Kevin Samuels, shut the fuck up talking about him. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, that's the best. I will say this. Somebody nameless said if you've seen one of Kevin Samuels' videos, you've seen them all. That's true, but it's certain nuanced things that he sprinkles in. Like you don't hear the church shit all the time, but he does come from the church and the man in the church. You don't hear that all the time. So I say 5-6 videos, then you can have an opinion on what he says, because I think a lot of people are doing hearsay shit. Anyway, go ahead, Arthur.
To say he doesn't have money is ridiculous, because you see what type of suits he has on. He tells you how much they cost. You see what type of cars he's in when he makes some of his older videos. You know how much those cost. The man is not a poor man. So say you talking about receipts. He's not talking about women. He doesn't have to show women to show he has receipts. He's talking about a level of social economic standing and what men expect in that level. And if you want receipts that he's in that level, just watch his videos.
Yeah, and truth as I know it, I'm not going to tell you what truffle butter means. It comes from mainly a Drake song, but it's also before that. Go look it up, and I apologize. I apologize in advance for you looking.
But the sad part is how not even that these women have these things like.
And by the way, I'm not making this to be about Kevin. This is about a lot of other shit. So, but we're going to talk about that because that's what we own right now. But I just want to make it clear. But go ahead, Arthur.
I got 2 things to say. It's not even that women are talking about, the black men are bullet bags or truffle butter or whatever. All these terms our women come up with for us. It's the fact that many other black men adopt these terms too, and use the lingo that women use against us as well. Now, I want to say something about Jason Black. I've been starting to listen to Jason Black again, and he's been coming at this red pill space. And he said something very interesting to me the other day when he made his video about low value men. He said something about he started attacking the manosphere. Like he really comes at the manosphere, and he comes at it from like, dude, have you ever watched any of our videos? He started attacking the manosphere.
Who are you talking about?
Jason Black. As if
okay, I've addressed that, but yeah, go ahead.
As we're a bunch of dudes who have the most swag, and how we don't have no money, and we're using swag to get women, and we're getting bad results because we have the swag and don't have the money. And the women are leaving us, and after they leave us, we come into the manosphere and complain because we had the swag but didn't have the money type shit when he was trying to push his high value men shit. But I'm like, dude, You just to say the black men in the manosphere are the most swag hood dudes, are the cool ones. Obviously, you don't listen to the manosphere. Like you're just making up shit right now. Like you're literally just making up shit.
Yeah. I mean, as far as that, man, it's one of those. It's one of those. You know, I'm not worried. Okay, this is the advantage to that. Jason Black has 100,000 people. So if somebody, so folks that obviously have more things out there, they can, you know, that is willing to kind of do the back and forth shit. Because I don't really want to do the back and forth shit like that. You know, the advantage to that is you can make a video breaking that shit down. And then basically because his name carries weight in the algorithm, people can get juice, channel juice off of that. That's what people don't understand. That's the same thing true for Kevin. The same thing true for what's it called. So if you all have an actual point you can make, like let's say Archer, you say some stuff like that, or let's say Joe said he's got a channel, so I'm gonna promote that once he drops the link. Joe could do that and say from a younger brother, this is the value that I've gotten from the manosphere. And I've gotten value from what you got to say, Jason Black. But a lot of people in the manosphere actually talk about you in a positive way. So for you to kind of just blanket all these brothers like that, but you say you pro-black, but you want to go and do the same activities that a lot of low vibrational niggas do. I mean, I don't know what to think of that, man. I got to look at you sideways because at the end of the day, these people are a lot more accessible. You've seen them, and all of them ain't what you described them to be. Now, what Jason will fall back on is he'll say he's talking about Kevin. He's talking about the 7. If you notice, the 7 is who he's going at. Greg Adams is the only other person that's not really in that. So he's being very specific. The 7 is that show that Donovan runs, that Kevin, Jap, Donovan, Steve the Dean is on, and Coach Greg Adams. Adams is
even when he's talking about them, he's very incorrect about the way he's describing them as a whole bunch of dudes with no.
Yeah, but
if you know any of their backstories, that was not none of them.
Yeah, but Jason knows what he's doing, and it is what it is with that. So Joe, and then I'll get to Obsidian.
See, my whole thing is, now I know a lot of people might not agree with this, but it is what it is. I have to say this. A lot of black men don't have their own identity, so they have to just disrespect and degrade and just downplay the accomplishments of other ones. Like this is my thing. One thing that's holding us back from advancing as a group of men is we don't have solidarity. Soon as one of us become an outlier, as soon as one of us say something that we don't agree with, we can't just respectfully disagree. We have to go in, you know what I mean, just disrespecting them, talking down to them, and stuff like that. And it's just like this: if dudes would sit down and figure out who they are and accept that for what it is, and instead of just compromising themselves and their beliefs, then it'll be like way easier to just have these types of conversations. Like the fact that you got grown ass men. Targeting other grown ass men because they say something that people don't agree with and stuff like that. It just shows you the type of mentality they have. They those are definitely not the people that you should take serious as far as trying to better develop a certain type of if this is my thing. Back in the day with the Greeks and the Romans and stuff like this, what did they do? They had to infiltrate, then assimilate. They didn't do all this. Okay, you don't agree with me, let's fight each other and whoever wins, let's do this. It's too much back and forth BS instead of just saying, okay, there's a clear, concise point we all can agree on. Let's target that. And it just, I just hate to say it, but a lot of black dudes, they just mentally weak. They got to figure out their identity first and foremost before anything.
Yeah, and creating their own channel shows that. Creating their and letting them put their thoughts out allows us to probe what the fuck they really think. So. Because then they can't blame like another party. They can't say because, like, for instance, Democrats do it with Republicans do it with Democrats, where they want to be the opposition, which is different from when you run shit. So when Democrats run shit, we already know what we're getting. We're getting gynocracy, feminism, gay shit, immigrant shit. I don't know what in that bullshit is advantageous to black men. When Republicans get it, yes, Democrats are racist too, but yes, Republicans are racist. But there's some cultural shit that black men say, okay. I agree with this, that, and the third. I mean, we all live in red. I mean, a lot of us live in red states. And it ain't like, we get our ass shot I live in North Carolina. And trust me, there's a lot I agree a hell of a lot more with how North Carolina is run than I do fucking Illinois. and I'm from Chicago, or that I was born in California. And see, that's something that a lot of black people don't think about. And by the way, Raleigh, North Carolina, as well as Charlotte, is two of the best cities for black people to live in. By the way, now you look at Wisconsin.
Black people or black men?
Black men too, not just black people, because it's for young black professionals, and it's in industries that black men do good, the blue collar trades as well as the IT trades.
We have to.
Well, I get that, but in places where it's bad for black people, it's usually bad for black men too. So I just wanted to say that. But so when you see somebody have to stand on what they want to say, you get to understand how much do they really. It's not even about knowing, but are they full of shit? But anyway, I dropped the link multiple times. Joe has 8 subs. Get him up. Let's get him up. Like, how many motherfuckers in here? Let's get him up to like 50. He ain't got no videos yet, but he's, as a younger YouTuber, he has a younger perspective, and he can deal with a lot of these millennial chicks because he's dealing with them on the ground, as well as certain things that these younger guys are looking for. He can speak to what a lot of these dudes that are 15, 16, 17 are looking for, even though obviously you're older than that. But you get what I'm saying? Because you're closer than I would be. And my youngest brother is 24. So even then, that's still a gap. So definitely sub him. I'd rather, there's a lot of younger YouTube, a lot of younger audiences here. And I think they need to have a channel has a voice. So for him stepping up and wanting to do that, that's an admirable thing. Hammer and all of them. And I think they can aggregate their own voice in a way that can we can get some interesting conversation going. So make sure y'all sub to him. I'll be promoting that link. And obviously y'all know who the fucking Sidian is. So anyway,
Edward, have you subbed to my channel yet? I've been making videos for a while.
Well, I haven't had your link. Well, I need your link in the private. I don't be checking people's links like that. And Super Trends has a channel, but yeah, we'll get to all that. So drop it, Super Trends. I know what your shit is.
No. I haven't streamed for like damn near a year. I don't stream anymore.
Okay, so yeah, Archer, you put your stuff in there, and then Obsidian. Well, so what's up? What do you want to bring to the floor? I'll get to my super chats in a second. Actually, hold on. Sorry about that. Let me get to my super chats. I don't feel like I appreciate the money. So BS Holding says, can't wait to find out Jason Black. Jason Black is not a white guy, and he's not Professor Black Truth. So stop saying that. And then Brother Ray says, what man places money over manhood? Money buys infrastructure. Manhood keeps infrastructure. No man has placed money over manhood, and I know Kevin has it. That's an argument you all are hearing that's not being made. But anyway, so Obsidian, what is up? What's up?
Yeah, what's going on, Ed and everybody? It's interesting about Jason Black is that I find that the whole receipts argument is the problem I have with it is that it's very selectively applied. It's never applied in a uniform kind of way. So black people, in this case, black men, feel at leave to demand receipts of person A, but are good with person B. And really what it comes down to is I don't like person A, so I want to see receipts from him. It's really just a cheap tactic to try to discredit him. Because if you like person B, you don't require any of their receipts, and that goes with Jason Black. Jason Black has his audience. There are people, he tells people what they want to hear, and nobody demands receipts from him. Nobody demands that he cam up. Nobody demands that we got to see how he living. Nobody demands anything from Jason Black. But when it comes to Kevin, or let's just get right to it, yours truly, oh my God. I mean, we got to have, forms filled out in triplicate. We got to have your mother's maiden name. What's your blood type? I mean, the whole bit. And instead of just simply saying, look, fill in the blank ain't my cup of tea, and leave it at that and step off. Black people, in this case, black men, can't leave it at that. Even matter of fact, David Carroll talked about this. They just can't leave, well enough alone and just say, look, he ain't my cup of tea. Let me step off. I'm gonna go over here. No, they got to go back and forth and back and forth. And that is saying something about the psyche of a lot of black men today. The fact that Kevin has ignited such a firestorm is a damning indictment of black men in 2020 online. At a time when the black manosphere should be basking in the glow of one of their own having major success, Here we got brothers coming out the woodwork trying to tear him down. And I'm
You just
sorry.
said the same shit.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I know a lot of brothers aren't going to like this, but you're proving Cynthia G right.
Oh shit.
You're proving her right. You're proving her right in real time. Instead of falling in line behind Kevin in a show of solidarity and support, you want to tear the brother down. Instead of saying, you know what, we all could do to improve. And so that's the real irony here. Because the argument has always been, and just to be honest here, the argument has been aimed at yours truly. Obsidian is just mad because he couldn't get the women that he wanted. If he focused on self-improvement, it would be different. Well, I took that argument and turned it on its head.
So I got a question, because Obsidian, you are a self-proclaimed and a proud blue-collar guy. Is that correct or incorrect?
I am.
Okay. So Kevin is a white-collar guy, pretty much.
That's right.
And the problem is, I think that, and I don't think this is true for a lot of productive blue-collar guys that are actually making some good money. I think they understand what he's talking about, and it is what it is. But I think a lot of guys who will try to hide behind dudes like that, and then they act like Kevin's talking down to him. How do you perceive, as a lifelong blue-collar guy, what Kevin Sanders is saying?
I think it's a godsend. I think, as a matter of fact, and you said this earlier, Ed, the people who have a problem with Kevin are only revealing that they don't know what Kevin is talking about. They don't even take the time to listen, which is a real damning indictment, because if you don't even take the time to listen and know what's being said, how effective can you be? And for the brother in the chat room, the nameless, faceless guy, because it's always nameless and faceless guys. I've noticed online, it's rarely brothers that put it all on the wood and make their arguments. It's always the nameless, faceless guy. That's one reason why Jason Black has such appeal. Kevin has given numerous instances of where you could come on as recently as last week to come on his show and give reasoned, legitimate critique of what he's talking about. That was completely embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That made me mad, because it could. Oh man, that was. It was
nothing short of embarrassing. And see, that's the real problem here. The real problem is that a lot of guys got their card pulled. And instead of humbling themselves and saying, you know what, I got a lot of work to do, let me buckle down and get to it, they lash out. Very mature, fellas. You're proving Cynthia G right.
Yep, and people will get mad about that, and that annoys the shit out of me. But what I would say is, hold on, to Patrice. I just want to say this real quick. What I would say to that is, you know, what, and I'm not about to switch it back to the women, but I'm about to say this, because see, that's what I told you. I'm like, Cynthia G, you're fucking guys like this. So you can talk all the shit in the world. Women can talk all the shit in the world, say, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, but you all would need to level up. Yeah. These are the niggas you all are leveling up from. That's what doesn't get said. So the dudes that will say manhood over money, this is where the struggle love comes from. This is where the he's got potential comes from. That's called genetic currency. Because you never hear women talk about he's got potential as far as potential to look good. It's always he's either there or he's not. And you see that reflective of the men, where men never talk about white supremacy when it comes to getting bitches. They never talk about how the white man has created a standard of a black man that black men really has had no say in. Yeah, black men have done what they've done in sports, but a lot of what they benefit from is a byproduct of the white man's media that they are able to show, because they don't have to show that shit. And so you benefit from a lot of the white man's promotion, but at the same time, now you want to then talk about white supremacy when it's time to talk about some economics and some other shit. That's two sides of that same coin. So I just wanted to highlight that. Well, but anyway, finish your point of sitting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let me jump in on that point about the Cynthia G argument. See, at this juncture, you can't deny that what she's saying isn't a real thing. I told this to her 2 years ago.
I'm just saying what she says is disingenuous, because Cynthia G. I gotta say, and I'm not gonna interrupt you at all about Cynthia G after this. Cynthia G is going. I think you the one that shared it. Did she went on? Yes, you were. Did she went on the record saying, "I need a toxic black man"?
Yeah,
These niggas are toxic.
Right,
These are toxic ass niggas. Kevin just said it. You're saying it. BGS is saying it.
Right.
Rom is saying it.
Right.
So that's the only issue. It's not that on the technical level what she's saying is incorrect. It's that. But anyway, I'm done. I put that out there. So can you continue? Say something. I won't interrupt it at all.
Yeah, what I was going to say is she is right to point out that there are black men who are ineffectual and incompetent and so on. But the problem is that she keeps being drawn to those types of black men. See, she wants to spin it as if all black men are that way. But see, what Kevin has done is revealed that that's just not true. So the question now has to be, and it's only one question, Cynthia, why do you keep dealing with ineffective, incompetent black men? That's the only question that really remains now.
Well, Obsidian, to add to that, do you believe the ineffectual black men should get access to pussy?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do you, when I say access, I mean the fact that women choose them. Do you personally believe that ineffectual black men should get access to pussy?
That's a choice for black women to make.
I know, but I'm just saying, but you personally, do you think it's let me rephrase it. Do you believe that it is a good idea for a woman's medium and long-term best interest to give pussy to what they deem, not you, what they deem as an ineffectual man?
Well, I mean, black women themselves have answered that question. Cynthia G has answered that question. We all know what happened last year. We all know what she said about the individual with whom she's been alleged to have been connected to. We all saw the tweets. We all saw the text. So by her own testimony, it's a bad idea.
Yes. So and that's in the manosphere, one of the very pillars of the manosphere's quote unquote moral argument. Because here's the thing: if black women were happy with their choices, it would be nothing to say. Now you could be saying, "Oh, you a hating ass nigga," because they're not complaining about what they're doing. They're cool with what they're doing. It's just us making a fuss over something they're not even saying is a problem. But that's not true. We're responding to them blanketing everybody with you. I mean, this is your core thesis. I don't need to tell you what your core thesis is. My point, though, is at the end of the day, you're incentivizing the behavior in men that you're complaining about. And there is something psychotic about that. So even though she's technically right to call shit out, what she doesn't do, it's like saying, it's like complaining about crime, but you're harboring criminals. You may not be a criminal, but you're harboring them. You can't do that. And this is why I just had to add it. It wasn't like I'm gonna say, oh, you're not allowed to say Cynthia G, but it's like, that part has always got to be shown, because it's like you are contributing to the same mechanism that you're saying is fucked up. So, so at the end of the day, yeah, nobody disagrees that there's a lot of black men that are ineffectual. Nobody's arguing with Cynthia G with that point, to be honest with you. The point that we're arguing is that you're saying that dudes are supposed to clean you up after you deal with these same guys. And that's where Kevin and everybody is in agreement on. Kevin said he's hard on black men because he believes when a black man gains the title of what he calls headship, which is basically the high value man. You don't got to be high value man to have headship, but there is a lot of latitude that man should get, because it took a lot for him to get there. And that's why he's hard on the path to getting that, because he knows the latitude he's going to get. So we all agree on that. So a lot of what we're arguing, I don't really know what the fuck we're arguing about on a technical sense when it comes to Kevin. At the end of the day, from a red pill manosphere perspective, whether you believe in marriage or whether you believe in not getting married, Kevin is showcasing that if you show this archetype of a person that has his shit together, how do these women respond? And you're allowing these women to get on the witness stand and basically, put themselves in jail. That's a value over any other of your feelings. Anyway.
Well, I mean, the answer to your question is very simple. The reason why a lot of brothers are very upset is because a lot of brothers themselves. I mean, look at the guys who are making the biggest stink out of it. Look at, it's real simple. This is YouTube. Look at them. Look at Kevin. There's your answer. I mean, all you have to, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. If you want to know what the brothers that have the biggest problem with Kevin. Look at them. Look at Kevin. There's your answer.
Well,
And,
I disagree with that because there's an individual on YouTube. I don't want to say his name because I don't like promoting other people. But
I have no idea
got,
what you're talking about.
he looks every bit the part that Kevin does. He wears the suits, and basically he from his perspective, he claims that he's a real businessman. He has actual receipts to prove that he actually does business. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that there are people out there that just simply have a dissenting opinion. But I do want to address the fact that I think that like you made the point of sitting that people just don't know what Kevin Samuels is talking about, that are making comments to the contrary of what he's saying. But I think people know exactly what he's saying, because when you mention that term, that you use the terminology value, and you precede value by high. Now you actually you basically create a scale, and so you have on one end of the spectrum high value, and you actually associate high value with being desired by women. Now one could surmise through deductive logic and reasoning that if you don't have the actual income, that will put you at the other end of the spectrum, which is low value. Also, one could surmise that you are not desired by women consequently.
So this is the select versus non-select. This is the select versus non-select argument. And the sad thing,
right? But
I don't have these problems. I don't have these problems. I'm merely making
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Super Triz. My response is, whose fault is that?
That's called hit dog holler. That's all that is.
Hang on. Whose fault is that? If you find yourself at the other end of the spectrum, whose fault is that?
White supremacy.
No, it's your fault.
No, it's white supremacy.
No, it's your fault. You failed to do what was necessary to be on the other side.
And by the way, Jason Black would say the same shit in a much more abrasive, you ain't shit type of way. You think Kevin? Let me tell you something. This is what kills me about this shit. Jason Black, look, I like Jason Black. Jason Black has been around for years. And what Kevin says about you niggas, Kevin just commenting on what you niggas say when you call in because you keep bothering. Jason Black has been giving black men. Jason Black will literally verbally cut your nuts off in front of everybody pretty much if you let him, and then hang up on your ass. And Jason Black has a female audience, but he has about 45%, if not 50% men. It's about half and half. And so this idea that people are in their feelings about Kevin, Jason is like infinitely, he's like infinitely worse than that. And I've told people Jason is like a football coach. So if you hear it, so as far as the high value, low value shit, and here's the thing that kills me: they say the same shit, and there is shit that I've heard Kevin say that Jason has said. Like I'll prove it. You go on the business. You go on the business right now. Jason Black's got a post.
Right.
So what's the problem?
Well, you know what?
I'm about to get that. I'm gonna get it, but hold on. He got a post. His post is in fact, you know what? Fuck it. You niggas think I'm lying. I'm gonna show it. It's a post that literally well, I'm talking about for the audience. It's a post that literally says the problem is not that females need to lower their standards. The problem is the females, we know what we're talking about. They need to have realistic standards. And it's like a whole post that goes. I'm like Jason's never said it that way. Because what Jason will say, you just need to double up and triple up with a winner if you want to be a side chick, which is something that Kevin, by the way, does not talk about. Kevin's saying it's either boom or bust, not that piece. So there are differences, but my point is, if you're saying the same shit, that goes back to what you said, Obsidian, what is the problem? And it's like, oh, well, he don't show receipts. Well, I mean, nigga, I hear you, but people, like you said, people been asking you to show your face for the longest time. And you got Eldridge Cleaver on there. And people have overall, the mass have said, you know what, we trust what you're saying because you've shown what you know. This is why he always talks about, like, I know where somebody's street is and all of that to make up for that. But my point is, black men have to stop. This is the main thing I want to say. Black men have to get out of this bullshit, this Highlander bullshit, where it can only be one. That's bullshit. Like Kevin's channel was built very differently than actually how Jason Black's channel was built. So this idea that like it can only be one and I gotta know everything, I gotta be the source of the information. Half the shit Jason Black says, you know, comes from Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Amos Wilson. You know, same thing with Tariq. They get their stuff from Dr. Claude Anderson. And ain't nobody saying, well, nigga, you get your shit from Powernomics. We know where you get it from. Anyway.
Just real quick, Obsidian. There's a couple of people that mentioned the individual's name in the chat. Like I said, I don't want to be calling out.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. My question is this. Yep. My question is this in regard to this gentleman. What's his name?
I don't know. Don't say his name. I don't know him. Just listen. I just heard.
The Saint in the center. The Saint in the center. Here's my question with him. Here's my question with him. If what you're doing is already good, why the need to go?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah, okay, y'all talked about it. Yeah, fuck that dude.
If what you're doing is good, why the need to go after somebody else?
Well, no. Here's the thing. I'm not defending this guy, but conceptually, his argument is that he is legit. The information that he disseminates is legit. The information that's disseminated by Kevin Samuels, he claims, I'm not saying this, he's claiming that the information is not legit and it's basically setting men up for failure. We're not talking about high value. We're not talking about the high value conversation. We're talking about some of the business conversation. So this is like a whole different aspect of what.
All right. So
that's what I'm saying.
So here's my response. As a businessman that knows Kevin very well, that will be born. If you're a businessman, you understand that these things will be borne out in the market. If what the Saint in the Center says is true, there will be black men who will be very upset with Kevin on a business level.
But Obsidian, here's the thing. Well, I mean, there are people who've been upset. I don't know if it's legit though. So hold on. Let me what I'm saying is that
Super Trips go, then the city, and then I'm gonna jump in, and then Ryo, I got you.
What I'm saying is that in certain instances, people have a right to have a difference of opinion. People have a right to have criticism and scrutiny of somebody who's considered to be their peer. So I don't know who's legit and who's not. So I don't get into that. But I'm just saying that
this man his peer.
You say what?
Does Kevin consider this man his peer?
That's a one-sided question. I don't know.
I don't think he knows. But Super Trips, yes, we agree. Nobody disagreeing that people don't have a right to speak. But the question is, when people start to speak, like I said, I didn't want to turn this into a protect Kevin show. No, but if people have, but this is a bigger point than just Kevin, because Kevin's not the first one. This is
what we're talking about. This is what we've been talking about for the past for over an hour. So let's get right to it. Here's my thing, Super Trips. My thing with the gentleman, the Saint and the Sinner is very simple. If what you're doing is legitimate, people will flock to it. There's no need to go and attack somebody else. People will see you. People will seek you out. If you build it, they will come. The fact that he has to go out and attack this man tells me that maybe what he's doing isn't all that great.
Listen, let me tell you something, Obsidian. If I got wind of somebody in my profession that's putting out illogical information, I'm going after them. It has nothing to do with me, being able to preserve whatever I'm doing over here. It's just the fact that there's a certain moral ethic and principle within me that says, wait a minute, I can't allow you to put out that kind of information if I don't agree with it. Now, what I'm saying is I don't know if what this person, Saint the Sinner, is saying is legit. But what I'm saying from his particular perspective, if he truly feels that the other person, Kevin Samuels, is not being genuine, then he has every right to actually come back.
Super Triz. Hold on. Let me say something for a second now. I hear that. But at the same time, we're assuming that he has this moral, altruistic value system as to why he's doing that. That ain't why he's doing what he's fucking doing. He's cop chasing. Because if that was true, Kevin's had 50 subscribers for a long time. Kevin's had 40 and 60 subscribers. It's only when he got to 80 where all of a sudden he's hit everybody's radar. And Kevin's channel was built around sales and business way before. Like, really, what I look at what he's doing now is just it's a show. It's a show that kind of is related to a lot of his general content because it's really that. But generally, his channel was built off of fashion and sales. So the reality of the situation is this nigga didn't have nothing to say that whole time. But now with this show, he's got something to say. And the shit he's commenting on is really about what he's saying on that show, which doesn't really have anything really to do with business and shit. I saw the video you're talking about, and I've looked at his shit, and I can tell you right now, a lot of the shit they say about Kevin, you could throw the same thing at him, and his shit ain't even about business like that. Also, to give a greater example, you know, male enlightenment and shout out to One Master Teacher, they were talking about cryptocurrency. I don't really agree with cryptocurrency like that. I don't. Glenn and Cameron doesn't. I think that sometimes that can be seen as a send-off mission. But
Right.
at the same, because this is what I think. I personally think that if you're going to talk to black men's problem is a cash flow problem, not an investment problem. So the same thing I used to say with Boyce Watkins with stocks is the same thing I'm going to say with people that talk about crypto. Invest or Forex. In those secondary investments are for if you have solved your cash flow problem. So what you need to focus more on is hustling, getting your credit right, getting your money up. So my point though is I don't make this.
Why are black men doing that? Why is that?
Well, we'll get to that in a second, because then there's a question is why are black men more attracted to crypto, Forex, and stocks than they are of actually doing things like pounding the pavement, like sales and hustling? That's a question I want to get to. But my point is, I don't sit there and do this diatribe and this crusade about, oh, I need to tear down crypto. Now, Glenn and Cameron has done that, but that's because Glenn and Cameron said the market is too volatile. This is what you all should be doing. He actually presented an opposite answer. He did exactly what I said. He said, you all need to focus on getting your hustle up, getting your sales up. Then you can take that money and do something, what you want to do with it. But you sitting there thinking crypto is going to save you or Forex is going to save you. It takes a lot of work, and you all are really trying to get around the work. You all want an easy way out, and people are selling you that. But he only goes so far with that. And so we got to tell the difference between people clout chasing. There's a lot of clout chasing ass niggas. And when you actually ask them, if I were to get that dude on here and I actually get to the heart of what his problem with Kevin is, I promise you it'll be a bunch of bullshit. If we get into the details, it'll be because even with Jason, it was a bunch of bullshit. That's why he leaned on the receipts. Because at the end of and Jason agreed. Jason did not come at Kevin like he came at Donovan and Coach, where he threw the kitchen sink at them. He kind of eased into it because he knows he says a lot of the same shit. And so a lot of folks are full of shit with that. And they hide behind that moral bullshit. Go ahead.
So again,
and I gotta get Ryle in there a little bit, but go ahead.
So again, if it's what's the problem here? I thought this was about self-improvement. I thought this was about being the best version of yourself. I thought this was about making more successful black men. But that's not what's happened.
Well, do you care about that over your own personal interests? You can have both, but it still is a balancing act. And what you're finding is you still have this Highland. It's just like making a hamburger. It's like making a fucking hamburger. McDonald's, yes, they want to have market share and preserve their market share. But McDonald's understands that it's more than other ways to make a hamburger, and they don't speak to everybody. So they focus on who the fuck they speak to. You talking about Red Robin's. Kevin's talking about Red Robin's. You want to spend $15, $20, $25 on a hamburger for a good experience, then you come to me. Well, I want a hamburger on $1 menu. Then what the fuck are you doing here then? Why are you here? We don't have that. That's not what. Well, fuck you, nigga. You need to have the dollar menu. Shit. McDonald's has it. Burger. What makes your ass so good? Why are you here? They're right across the street. Why are you having a picket sign talking about I need to come out of business when you can just go to fucking because I want your shit? Okay, I'm about to call 911. You gotta call police because you're insane. That's basically what they do with Kevin. Kevin speaks to a certain type of folks. If you don't believe in marriage, why are you listening to him? Now, see, I have my issues about marriage, but I can understand where he's coming from and take the meat and spit out what I don't want. But people can't do that. You see what I'm saying? And this is diving into the delusion that is black men. Jason Black did a video talking about the delusions of black men and black women. And black men, he said the biggest delusion that black men have is manhood, is they present manhood over money. And this is the way for black men to say money doesn't matter. Kevin has basically demonstrated that with the 2 videos he put up and a lot of the resistance that he gets. And black men hide behind morals. They hide behind a whole bunch of intangible bullshit because at the end of the day, they have the few. They don't have the receipts to override them. That's why black men get so mad at BBS too on some other shit because they don't have the intellectual receipts to override him as far as the research. So what they do, they try to put his grandson out there. This is the same mentality, just manifested in different ways. Anyway, Cindy, I'm gonna let you get your not your last word, but say something, and I'm getting right on next.
Yeah, all I'm simply saying is that at the end of the day, I thought this was about black men being the best versions of themselves. I just don't understand why the brother's being savage this way. If we're going to talk about legitimate, critiques and all the rest of it, as I've said, he's hosted at least 2 shows where you've had the opportunity to speak to him directly with legitimate critiques, and look at how that turned out. I mean, at what point do black men admit we got a lot of work to do, man? At what point do we admit that to ourselves?
Hello?
I'm here. I thought Rael was next. Is Obsidian done? Did this mic go out?
Yeah,
Give me 1 second. I want to get these super chats. So shout out to Dollar Washer. While we wait for Rael, Super Duper says, Ed, I think the better term would be male sexual currency as opposed to genetic currency. He gets it wedged. You must select the way I see it. Yeah, there's a reason. I saw the genetic currency because I speak to what the motivations behind it is. But I hear you. Red Pill Sailor, shout out to Marcus A. Brown. Much respect to Ed, heavy hitters on the panel and chat. Yes. And I'll drop the link soon enough. I'll be dropping Joe's link soon enough. Again, shout out to Ty City. Okay, so Rael.
Yeah, appreciate let me come on this panel. We have a problem. We have a problem in as much as because I'm seeing, and I've been seeing for a while, black men are doing the same thing a lot of these females are doing. Black people, they only want a collective when it's allowing their individual failures to be hidden.
Ooh, that's good.
On a female side, we have continuously heard, y'all brought up Sinji earlier, but she's just the face of the actual sentiment that exists. Kevin exposed this when he interviewed the Janae chick. Every time she tried to make it about there's not enough black men, Kevin brought her right back to, but what about you individually? And that was very shrewd and strategic because this is what a lot of black people love to do. When we see these situations in the street with these black men having altercations with police that don't go the way people think these altercations should go. Now, there's an argument that's made that it's the system. And I believe that one of the main reasons why so many black men jump into the defense of whatever black men they see on TV have an interaction with the cops, that none of us know exactly what has happened. None of us know. The people who are reporting don't exactly know. They wasn't there. What ends up happening most of the time is that they defend it because, and this is really sad because I would have never wanted to say this as far as black men. Seeing those black men who ultimately sometimes lose their lives, it offers a convenient excuse for niggas to fail. Now you know, I've had my things to say about these females, man, but
Yeah, keep it
I'm
all
not
the way
gonna
real.
allow these dudes who don't want to step up individually try to use the collective failures of who they view as pookies or those types to try to use those situations that, you know, I mean, you know, whether the guy was doing something wrong or right, it's a tragedy because I mean somebody lost their life. But you can't hide behind collective you can't hide your individual failure within the group collective when it's convenient. And that's what's happening on both sides. Now, I have read certain material that pretty much everything that Kevin has been saying is on point. And I didn't read out some, you know, stuff that just emotions and stuff like that. I'm reading from people who talk about wealth creation and stuff like that. And this is a class argument. And what a lot of black people are showing, especially even the black men, they're showing that there are a lot of black people who do identify with low class behavior. And I mean, even when it comes to wealth creation too.
Oh shit, low class black men. What do they value? Low class.
This is a serious problem because, I've been beating the horn on this. When your people have become an anti-family group, what that ultimately makes you is an anti-social group, which means you just cool with living on the fringes. And see, what somebody like Kevin is doing is saying, man, you're on the fringes. You don't really matter out here like that. You think you do, but you don't, because you're not put. I say it all the time to people. The worst, you don't want to make yourself expendable. Now, we can sit here and talk all day long and say, well, you know, everybody has value, and, you know, because you exist and because God loves you. Man, that's that Sunday school bullshit we was taught when we was younger. Man, this is the real world, man. We adults here. And that's not the case. Even in the movie Crash, man, Ludacris talked about how even black, he was talking about in the movie, all he was doing was he was robbing, he was stealing from black people. And he was like, man, even black people, he said, man, even black people don't respect poor black people. And so what I'm saying is that using, Sinji, we could use her as a template, but she's a mindset that exists. And the dudes that keep attacking Kevin on the male side, they're representing that same mindset too. They don't want to compete. They think that because if you do want to see things better, out here as a black man, one of the things that you can do to make things better is to raise your standard. Even Gandhi said, if you want to see change in the world, be the change that you want to see. You can't sit here and expect all this from women, but you like, well, I'm a black man. You should just give it to me just because I'm black. And that's the end of it. No, that's not how the game goes.
Well, they say, no, they don't say that. They say because they got swag. But
no, I'm talking about, and that means because you just here.
So
that means because swag is nothing tangible. Like
yeah.
It's nothing
and that's really the argument. That's really what an argument is. And even because see, once you start going into the family dynamic, then you start breaking into camps of people that saying the shit as it is unattainable. Because you got too many, and that needs to be spoke to. And you can't. In reality, situation is, I would definitely like to see the data on high value men, divorce rates and shit like that. So that's a completely different situation. But my point is, what do you have to gain? But like, if you made it so Jason Black didn't exist starting tomorrow, what if black men gain? If you make it so Kevin Samuels doesn't exist starting tomorrow, what if black men gain? An Obsidian, an Angry Man, a BGS Igmore, O'Shea, what have you gained if you can just Thanos snap and eliminate these people? What have you really gained? And BGS did a video talking about a sacred space, and he talked about how in the original 1.0 manosphere, even though 2.0 he thinks has built it up in ways surpassed that, there was certain things that was lost in the first manosphere. If for nothing else, that they saw this, they said things that were before a lot of the channels got established here. And then now we can look 10 years back and then say, hey, those same things were said, not just 5 years, but 10 years back. And they are here now. So it's not like people didn't say this is where stuff was going. And then people said that shit was bullshit then, but guess what? We're here. So it gives more evidence that we actually know what we're looking at. We're not looking at just the immediate. But really, it's this thing with, like I said, black men have a bad relationship with money. They have a bad relationship with economics. And this idea that money is man, nobody said, Kevin never said money was better than manhood. But one thing I will say that Kevin would probably agree on is money is a way to measure. Because here's the thing: if your manhood, what your manhood is about is utility. Let's keep that all the way real. Now we can say utility to yourself, which is your ability to do your own shit, versus utility to helping others. But that's what manhood is at its core, as far as how it's perceived in the Western context. If you don't have any kind of utility, it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but if you don't have any utility, nigga, you don't matter. And then most people would say you're not a man by definition. Or now we're not talking about like older people that they've done their work. You know, we're not talking about that. We're talking about like in your prime, that's what it's measured through, or at least that you have a history that you've added utility. Now, even if it has to do with wisdom because of the life you've lived, that can be there too, just to add that. My point is, money is a way of measuring utility. And the problem is black men like to say, well, money's not the only thing. But at the end of the day, most of our problems are rotated around us not having a sophisticated money system, aka us not working together on an economic level. The manosphere would be far more stronger if we were operating as a small micro economy versus just a whole bunch of collective channels. But see, people don't think about that because you can tell that's a dimension that escapes most black men.
Ed, ain't that what I've been saying? I've been saying this.
Yeah,
I said the other day that by this time, because I've seen enough of this brain capacity existing. I said by this time, man, the manosphere could have had it. They could have had their own bank. They could have had their own bank.
I'm not even talking about. I hear what you're saying on that, but I'm not even talking about at that level.
I'm saying, hold on. But what I'm saying is that if the space is going to be just for, because what I'm getting the impression is that a lot of these black men want a daytime show space like the women had in the 90s to just complain, and that's it. And to me, I don't think that a lot of these men out here, or from what I've seen enough younger men ask for information to know that's not what a lot of these younger dudes are looking for. They're looking for answers. They looking for the answers to understand the environment, but then they're looking also for answers to go to another level too. And the worst thing that we can do as older men is keep them stewing in a pot of misery to where they don't go and do shit. They just like, oh, well, we might as well not do nothing because white supremacy. And, you know, back in the day when we tried to do something, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and no, they can't go. What's the point? What's the point for them to go out here and try to accomplish anything if in the back of their mind, the white man gonna tear it down? That don't even make any sense. When we have seen black men in the worst conditions build Tuskegee. So to me, at the end of the day, what I'm seeing is a lot of individuals who want to hide their individual failure in a collective known as black or the manosphere to make it okay for them not to be the type of men Kevin is challenging them, because what he is giving them is a mental makeover, man. He's giving them a mental makeover.
Speak on it.
And they cannot, that cognitive dissonance, man, is kicking in, is kicking their ass. And I said it the other day, like it basically is boot camp.
Rael, it's worse. It's worse. Kevin's not talking about those guys, and he's not talking to those guys. He's basically saying something that really is not even for them. If they want to listen, obviously YouTube is free. You can listen. Here's the truth. If Kevin were to put a pay gate in front of it, he wouldn't have these problems. I'm not saying that's what you should do, because obviously, you know, based on the show, you're not going to pay the women to see. I get all that. But if Kevin, see, this is the truth. If Kevin were to do a group, let's say he did this show outside his own group, and said, okay, this is just for women and then the people that's already in his group, this Facebook group he talks about, then folks will get mad. But you would eliminate all that. But obviously, because of the algorithm, because of growth, you know, he's not doing that. He's doing it in the greater YouTube space, but everybody has the ability to listen. The truth here's the truth. Folks are, it's like talking about, it's like being poor and being homeless, and folks are talking about, like, let's say investing in stocks, but you got to have like $500,000 wealth, and then you sitting here want to disrupt the shit. No, I got one better. It's like when you get a lot of dudes that will talk on a pro-black stage, like Umar and them, and let's say they're having a pro-black discussion, a black male discussion, not black male, but black people discussion, and you got LGBT in here talking about folks that are interrupting. That's happening to Umar, that's happening to Tariq. Talk about, well, you're not talking about, you know, LGBT issues. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, they start trying to disrupt the shit. But he's saying LGBT isn't pro-black. The majority of black people are heterosexual. Majority of people are heterosexual. So your issue, the needs of the few do not outweigh the needs of the many. And they like, no, fuck that. I'm going to disrupt that bullshit because I just feel like I can. And then you've given me, and nobody's like basically made me. That's exactly what's going on. Because at the end of the day, nobody has to listen to Kevin. Nobody has to support Kevin. Nobody has to go over there. But you see people and here's the thing. If I don't agree with something, I'm going to say my point. But for the most part, I don't turn it into a crusade unless I think it's something that's like detrimental. That's where the petty stuff came from. But I don't turn it into a crusade, you know, about trying to tear somebody else down. Like, I don't think anybody should be listening to fucking RBR. I think they're fucking retarded. But you don't see me make it a crusade. I'm tired of him sending me spam emails. And I'm not the only one that's tired of that shit, by the way.
Maybe you need to make it a crusade.
But you don't see, because at the end of the day, that energy is not worth it. Clearly, if people want to listen to him for whatever reason, who am I to say why? This is why I always come back to saying you are accountable to who you listen to. And all of this moral shit, because shout out to Truth As I Know It, but I heard him say that. Look, I promote Glenn Cameron on my shit, and a lot of y'all don't even like his ass. I promote Kevin as far as I like what he's doing, but as far as I say who you need to listen to, I promote Glenn. That's why I promote. I don't say why you shouldn't listen to Kevin. I say this is why you should listen to this person. And the problem with, I have people like Saint the Sinner and people like that, is they lead off trying to expose, we're going to expose him. Well, dude, real talk, you know, a lot of y'all talk that shit, but y'all not going to talk one-on-one with these people. Y'all love keeping the fucking gossip back and forth bullshit, because that's what grows channels. And he can benefit from a lot of the people that's fucking butthurt. But the sad part, and like I said with Jason, because Jason hit 100 first. The reality is, if you listen to Jason the Business, a lot of the same shit he's saying the same shit, and it's not like he said it first. Nobody has like a monopoly on a lot of this information. A lot of this shit is common sense. And people need to stop fronting like they got a patent on this info. Like is more than one way to make a pizza. Is more. And by the way, Jason and Kevin don't even talk to the same demographic. Kevin's talking about an ultra from a pro-black standpoint, regardless of what economics you're in. Kevin's talking about certain level of men, and he did a show for females to give them clarity as to what it takes to get those men. That's the value add he's giving. It's not even the same shit in that way. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, they're going for the same people. In terms of, we have to understand that what's taking place is it's a battle. It's a war for the hearts and minds of people. So when you come at things from the vantage point of somebody like Jason Black, for example, you're approaching things from a Messiah savior complex type of mentality. Okay. So the thing that people love about messiahs and saviors is that they take the self-accountability out of the equation. So if they fail at life, they have a convenient person to put it off on, like, well, you said that this, that, and four, blah, 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 and this, and that, and the four. That's why black people love Jesus so much, because they don't have any accountability the way that the black church disseminates it. Whereas when Kevin is putting it forth, he's saying it's all on you, and that is scary as fuck for a lot of black people. Because if you ain't got nobody else to blame, man, that shit is all on you. And that is a the black community has been producing children who grow up to be adults who are scared of fucking life. and what life really is. When you've been on well, think about it. If you've been on welfare for 18 years of your life, and you so used to a check coming in the mail that your mama didn't have to work for, and then all of a sudden your ass hit 18, and now your mom done kicked your ass out the house. Like, all right, we'll figure it out. Man, that's a rude ass awakening for your ass. You haven't been taught any skills, any self-sustaining skills whatsoever that's going to allow you to go out there in the world and be able to maintain. And that's what's happening. But it's happening on not just a financial level, on a social level. In the book I had referenced the other day, it had the three capitals: financial capital, social capital. What was the other one? It was financial capital, social capital.
It was human capital.
Human capital. Now,
so that's what that's
all those things that he's been talking about it is backed up by people who are very much in pursuit of wealth. Those talking points that he's been having is backed up. So for all these people now, it's not Kevin's fault that black people don't pursue knowledge on that level in terms of trying to improve.
But like BGS, I don't mean to cut you off, Rayo, but like BGS said, the people that are for that like what he's saying. The people that are not for that, the people that are mad at him, you don't have to listen to his channel, but you have a problem with the fact that Kevin's growing. And it really adds insult to injury that Kevin's been able to do something that a lot of people in the manosphere had issues with, which is having a consistent flow of females actually calling, even though he says what the fuck he feels when it comes to them. And that's another thing too that doesn't get talked about either, to be honest with you. So anyway, I got finish your point, because I definitely don't want to cut you off, because I want to get what brother Ray has to say. But finish your point. My bad.
Yeah, my overall point is that, and I said this before. If tomorrow, black women said they were going to change who they are, and they turned over a new leaf, and moving forward, the younger female that they have under their charge, they're going to teach them to do all the things men in a manosphere want. Will these men be ready for it? Because see, it's easy to talk about what you want when
a lot of them wouldn't.
Psychologically,
most of them
in the back of your mind, it ain't even close to being there. But what if that shit was? Will most of these men even be ready for that shit? And that's a problem.
Most of them would.
There's a pause is a problem. That's a problem.
All right, so let me make sure see if I even want super chats. So shout out to Consular Murray and shout out to Brother Wade, because I saw you made a super chat. So you made a super chat before in which you said the issue you had was that people are saying whether we're not gonna make it personal, because I want to transition away. The reason why Kevin is just the dude that's being talked about now, but it's been many a dude that's been on this ringer before. Sydney's been on this ringer before. Angerman, O'Shea, BGS, Ron Wills. So he's just the dude that people are talking about now, but really represents an archetype for a lot of folks that are hating on other folks. And then we're having a conversation: is it hate or is it not? So I just want to keep that in mind. That's why his name keeps getting mentioned. But when I mention it ain't just him specifically, it's other people too. I'll say what's different between him though is he shows his face and puts himself out there. So now you're starting to see people now want to see other versions of receipts, and that's bullshit. Because whether it's Jason or other people, if they have an issue with folks, if they don't have an issue with folks, they don't ask that. And at the end of the day, you don't have to buy shit from Kevin. You don't have to listen to Kevin. Nobody's making anybody donate or making anybody do anything. So I don't even know why people have an issue on that front. But with that being said, Brother Ray said that the issue that he has with this conversation, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that people are putting manhood over money. So I just wanted you to piggyback off of that and put whatever thoughts you have, and then we'll transition this kind of out of this into something else.
Well, it's like this. To me, I don't want nobody to misunderstand that money is not important. But it takes money to buy land, take money to buy guns, bullets, bulletproof vests, gym membership, lights, food, shelter. So money is very important. The reason why I would say manhood should be placed above money because you have to know or have an idea of who you are before any of that happens because money can leave for any reason. And your manhood should not be affected by the money leaving. But what I gather from an individual who says, well, I got a couple of questions about the whole high value male thing and who is and who isn't, who's
Well, you don't have to be a
eligible.
high value man to have money, by the way.
No, no, no,
Let's be
no,
clear
no.
about that.
I understand that. I understand that.
So
And
that
money,
shit, I'm just saying that shouldn't even have anything to do with the high value man piece because I mean
right. And so
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying because you don't have to have money to be high value, and just because you have money doesn't make you quote unquote high value. I get
Well, I
that.
mean, but the thing is, you keep on bringing it back to the high value. The statement you made has
Well,
to do with manhood and money.
okay, manhood and money. Black people have built infrastructure for years. Schools, businesses, basically whole economies. So they took money to do that. The reason why I say manhood is because what a power structure may do is buy your freedom. They will buy the business and the infrastructure that you done work so hard to build. They'll buy it from you, and now the individuals who worked in that and served in that are no longer free. Meaning that we are by the infrastructure, by the business to kill it. So, but your manhood will say no because it means more to the community opposed to me. That's why I won't sell it. Because if you're a pure capitalist, if the business is worth 20 million and somebody offers you 100 million, then the person will say, "Well, why would I sell it?"
Well,
But
that's called understanding group economics, man, and that's different. I mean, even when you look at people that have their property, like I mean, the problem is you're doing to manhood what people do with games. You're taking a whole bunch of things and like making it very general. So what you're essentially talking about is understanding group economics and maybe a value of having a business as a strategic asset. Which, by the way, that's on a community to do too. Even when you look at the selling of BET, what a lot of people don't realize is there was other people that had the opportunity to buy BET. Oprah could have bought BET. There was other folks, black folks, that were in a position to collectively buy BET, but they did not want to do that. So therefore, he sold it to Viacom. It wasn't that I forget the dude's name that owned it. He wasn't a man enough to hold it. See, that's a lot of language that I would hear using as a way to just coach somebody into doing what they want to do. My thing too is I'll say this. Show me a situation like we are in the most capitalistic society in the world. And the reality is you're trying to make it sound like if you got enough manhood, you can override money. Show me an example where that's been the case.
Oh, no. The thing is, let's place if we gonna place money over manhood.
I'm not saying that money's over manhood. I'm just saying I need you're kind of what you're kind of saying is basically everything you're distilling to is I don't agree with that because of reasons. And then you're bringing in a whole bunch of different other stuff to kind of justify your argument. I mean, do you mean culture or do you mean manhood? So actually, I'm not trying to cut you off. This is what I want to know. This is actually what I want to know. What is manhood to you? Let's establish that first.
Okay. Manhood is taking accountability, having principles, having standards, taking accountability. Someone being courageous in the face of danger. Making your place a better place to live. And really, it's consistency. To break it all down, it's being consistent.
You know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear utility, but go ahead.
Well, if we say utility, then I would say, well, that's a good portion. Matter of fact, utility because the man is supposed to build. So yes, utility is included in that. And so what I'm saying is yes, in order to have utility, and this is capitalist society, you need money. But if the money leaves, because my humble estimation, a lot of black men tie their identity to their money.
Most don't. We're talking about we're talking about a particular few. They tie their whole. So you're saying, hold on, let me be clear. You're saying the majority. What percentage of black men tie their identity to money?
Well, I would hear what I would say. Since let's see,
there's only 20% make 50,000 or more. So I mean, I'm trying to understand what money do they tie their identity to? But
wait, hold on for a second. Do they tie their identity to money, or do they tie their identity to the perception of money? Because there's a lot of that going on too. Well, a lot of people fake like they got money too.
Meaning they're buying nice things to impress.
Well, absolutely, but those are not the dudes that people have a problem with. People have a problem with the people that actually have money, and this is this bourgeoisie argument.
What's wrong with having money?
Right. Nothing wrong with having money. Nothing. Who said something wrong with having? You need money.
I mean, no. The problem is they have a perception that people that have more money think they're better than them.
They are.
The fact that
they are.
Hold on, the fact that he juxtaposed money with manhood is a problem.
The fact that one man makes more money than the other shows that's a proxy for him being able to do something that the other guy either hasn't done or can't do.
Well, Obsidian, the issue that I have is
such as
money. No, the overall issue I have with the statement that you made, and then I'm gonna bring it up to everybody else, is you see it as opposing ends. You see it as like, money. It's all money or all manhood, and that creates extremes amongst black men. I know black men are no. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about him. Because when he said that money over manhood, which black man have you heard made that argument that it's all about money and there's zero manhood? Most black men that talk about that says a lot of the values that you said make up manhood, you have to get money. And this is coming from, Obsidian's on here and he's made his money in the blue collar field. So this is not just a white collar, blue collar argument. And I feel like you're trying to basically make it sound like people is, because let's be clear, black men you're not talking to black men, and Kevin's in that space too, that have gotten money from a trust fund or is getting money from generational wealth being passed down. Kevin made his money in sales.
Yeah, this first generation.
Which is one of the hardest ways to make money, by the way, as far as mentally. Obviously, working in blue collar is physically harder. I get that. But mentally, a lot of black people are much more comfortable doing non-skilled blue collar work than they are picking up a fucking phone because they're petrified of the phone and making sales, let alone doing what Kevin did, which is doing corporate deals, which is a lot harder than what I've done. So my point is, he's never talking from a perspective of he got money passed down to him. So I don't know where you are kind of getting to where money doesn't matter, as if he doesn't understand that you have to have certain skills and certain like core life skills to make the money in the first place. And those same skills, if you're a salesman, you can always make money no matter what the economy is, a lot more than most other professions. So I feel this is why I think you all are pulling shit out of air based on how you perceive things that are being said. So what do you have to say to that? And then I'll bring it to
my question is, I acknowledge the fact that money is important. I tell you, you need money to buy bullets, guns.
Okay, let me ask you like this: do you believe you can be a man without money? You believe you can be a man and be broke?
Oh yeah, yes sir.
Okay, so let's dance around. So make the argument that you can be a man. And so but before we do that, define what broke is to you, because I want to hear your words. We all have different definitions.
Broke is, well, first off, broke is not having your whatever you bring in is taken up by what goes out. So that means if you bring in $7,000, your expenditures equals $7,000.
Well, I mean, you could be a millionaire still. That's called running in debt. You be a millionaire coming over. How much money does somebody have in general before they broke?
I don't understand why we just can't admit that some guys
$0.
Can't say that.
Say what?
Why can't some guys just admit, look, man, I can't cut it and step aside?
Can't cut what? Can't cut what?
For a high
cannot cut what?
Some guys are not built for a high performance life.
Yeah, so I know.
What?
Hold on. I'm sitting here. I know y'all been waiting, but I want to stay on this broke piece. So you saying so explain to me. Do you believe? So explain to me why you can be, because I define broke is you ain't got no money. Not no, like, let's talk about broke from a black male context. From a black male context, if you broke, that means you have $0. I'm not even gonna say you're beyond living just paycheck to paycheck, meaning you can't get your bills paid. You can't, I'm not even gonna say you don't live on your own, but you ain't got money. You ain't got no emergency, not no kind of, you got money in the bank account, but you're not bringing in what you spending. Because that can kind of, we know what broke is. You can't put $30 in the gas tank, shit like that. So would you agree that that's broke, or at least would you agree to set that as a standard to what broke is?
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
If you need help with surviving, you broke.
Okay,
if you need help with surviving,
that as a standard. Do you believe you can be a man in that situation? That you can be considered a man?
Yes.
Explain.
Because you're a man because the how you got in that situation matters.
Okay, and let's establish you've been in that situation for 2 years. So we're not just talking about all of a sudden you in a 3-month situation. You've been in that situation for 2 years. So it's established that that's your situation. Not we're kind of in it in a temporary situation, but you've gotten yourself out of it. I wanna put that in there too, just to add that context. And you still agree you can still say you a man.
Yes. If your manhood, if you have if you got too much month at the end of the money.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. I want before we start talking, I want to get everything.
If you got too much month at the end of the money, you as a man, your manhood isn't shaken or stirred or nothing like that. For the simple fact that you're no utility to nobody else.
Yeah. So now you saying that you could be a subpar man that needs help from other people and from time to time, from pretty much on a consistent basis. But you saying for an extended period of time, which is that 2 years. But you telling me you would still consider that person a man?
Yes.
A high value man?
Why?
No, we're not talking about high value man.
Because before you anything, you're a man first.
No, you're a male first before you're anything. Being a male
before you anything, you're a man first. Because if you are in a situation like that, regardless, you probably could have called a felony. And you probably called a felony.
You probably has he ever heard rites of passages?
Do you not understand?
Yes.
Okay. So what was? Hold on.
So hold on, Archer. This is my last question. This is Archer. This is my last question. Then I'll bring you in. So you were telling me that I'll bring Obsidian in you. I promise. So you're saying basically you can be a man without doing. If you exist, therefore you are a man. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, so what do you have to do in order to be considered a man?
No.
I'm trying to bottom this out here.
First you have to be able to survive on your
We just
own.
established
provide, being able to provide for yourself.
I just established. No. We just established that you said you're still a man.
So if the brother needs help and it's been like that 2 years, if he started as a man and all of a sudden now he hit a rough patch that's lasted 2 or 3 years, he don't drop down to male.
You're saying once you become a man, you never can lose your status of manhood in anybody, even amongst other men. Is that what you're saying?
Well, my thing is this: other men opinions should matter to a real man. That's it.
All right, guys.
Now,
We're gonna start with
I
Obsidian.
disagree
and
with
then
that.
we'll
What is
start
not
with
a
Obsidian.
man?
We'll
What's a
say-
male?
Hold on,
What's a
I'm
male?
done. I just wanted to
Well,
set the table. We'll start with
Here we go.
Obsidian, then we'll
Can
go
we
to
get
Archer,
the
then
metrics
we'll
of
go
what's not a
to
man?
Team Triz.
And Rael after that. Please.
Yeah, we'll let y'all go. I appreciate y'all being patient because I know that last. So Obsidian, I know you've been saying you had some statements.
Yeah, no, I was just simply saying that I don't see what all the hubbub is about. Just put your head down and get to work and be better. Well, I don't understand what the problem is here. No, I it's like we're actually having a debate as to whether or not black men should make more money, be the best versions of themselves, get their act together, dress better. I mean, are we really going to do this?
Yeah, I'm having the because I want to understand the deep psychology of it rather than just arguing it down. And what I'm seeing based on what Brother Wade has said is Brother Wade has a problem with a standard. It's not, fuck what Kevin's talking about with the high value standard.
Oh.
He has a problem with a standard in general.
Quick question. I do not have a problem with men holding themselves to a standard because standards keep you out of trouble.
Well, every standard, I'm saying, well, so you tell me what's the standard by which you lose your manhood?
Yes.
What is the standard by which you should not consider yourself a man?
What is a male?
No. I'm asking.
You're born a male. You're born a male. That baby's a male.
Okay, but what's a man, and what to lose that position as man? Who doesn't qualify for that position of man? Describe the person who doesn't qualify.
I would say the person who really don't qualify for the title of man. I would say the person who don't take responsibility for their actions.
So responsibility alone
For the
is a
actions.
metric for manhood.
Yes, because you're responsible to yourself first.
Okay, clearly,
everyone else.
So by definition, I mean, so that goes back to the take care of itself. But by definition, if you are a burden to other people, then you're not a man by definition because you're not taking responsibility.
Okay, so that's why the why is so important.
I mean, because see, at that point, you're saying the why, because if you got a felony, that was still some shit you did. So it doesn't matter if it's an immediate situation.
Well, he's trying to say the why supersedes the responsibility factor. So
if you
can no longer take responsibility, then you have a escape.
If you are a veteran,
by definition of you saying the why, because don't add. Come on, you adding tertiary stuff as far as if you're a veteran in this.
If you're a veteran and you're disabled, then he's not a man.
But you know that's not what we're talking about. And I also said, if you're a veteran, it's based on what you've done in the past as far as utility. That's not the people that's complaining about what other people are talking about, though. They're not saying I'm a veteran and I feel like you throwing shade at me. That's not who's getting mad. Are you a veteran disabled?
No.
But the people, I'm not gonna put out their business, but we got people that's been disabled on the job, and nobody's spoken to that.
It's like this. If you're saying that because anybody who's on these panels should be able to support themselves. So if they're online complaining, then that broke standard that you're talking about really is non-existent.
Can I ask him a question, please?
Which is you basically assuming everybody in your mind is complaining is basically in that situation. Go ahead, Arthur.
I got one question for you, bro. Like, okay, so we established what you describe as somebody who is not a man, somebody who doesn't take responsibility. Right. So let's go back to the group of people that you do consider man. Do you think there's a hierarchy within that group of men? Or is a man equal? There's no top tier, no bottom tier.
I don't. I mean, men are men. I don't know.
So
I don't know the. Because when you interact with another man, you deal with him on the man.
So are all
I don't
you watch sports? I mean, and this is where Obsidian is right. I mean, the fact that we're like,
y'all dudes are making these chicks case, man. Y'all are making these chicks case with that bullshit they be talking, man.
Who is y'all?
I'm talking about him.
Rob, don't make me get on your ass now. Don't make me get on your ass. Because my question is, People talking about I want a man to compete. Compete with whom and for what? Explain that to me, please. Like I'm a third grader.
Well,
Well,
no,
we're talking about
hold
how
on,
I'll explain it to you.
hold on for a second.
Hold
First of
on.
all,
Okay, so
I'll
do
be
you
quiet.
believe you
I'll
can
be
be
quiet.
a man? Hold on. Do you believe that you can be a man and not be competitive?
I'm saying this. A man is naturally
Hey, answer the
competitive.
question, man.
A man is
Nigga,
naturally
you gonna make
competitive.
me drink and I don't drink.
Listen, a man is naturally competitive. But if we talking about in the marketplace, right? If that's what we're talking about, we're not talking about in sport, in this pissing matches, women.
I mean, what is competitive? I'm not talking about in marketplace. So what does competition mean to you, man? Like, what does that mean? I mean, I'm trying to really get to the bottom and see how this is what we do here. We dig deep.
To me, it depends on what's the competition and what's the prize.
Well, we're
Those are
talking.
the winners, or is
Okay. So when
everybody
I
a
say
winner?
competition, I'm talking about there's a standard. Where do you measure up in the standard? So we're not talking about high value men. We're talking like, for instance, we know. Does anybody disagree on this panel that if you make $50,000, this is by BlackDemographics.com. If you make $50,000 a year individually, that you're in the top 20. You're in the top 50% of men in general in this country, and you're in the top 25%, if not 20%, of black men in the United States. Does anybody disagree with that?
Who again?
Okay, so I'm assuming you don't. So economically, you are considered competitive because you're at least in the top 50% of all men, and you're really in the upper median of black men. So it's the same thing when it comes to anything. When it comes to in your field. When it comes to your ability, like, so you see the problem. Okay, brother, I'm gonna let everybody get in it. I appreciate you. The problem I have with what you're saying is you want to keep everything intangible. That's the struggle we have here. Anytime that I try to make it objective, it's like you have a problem with it, but you want to keep manhood subjective. And here's the thing. Sometimes we talk about manhood in a subjective way, but people do not measure. Even Jason Black says, it doesn't matter what you think, it matters what you can measure. And if you cannot measure it, so anything the only shit that counts is what you can measure. That's the only thing that counts. So you keep on wanting to get away from that, and that's the problem.
I just have a quick question. So if I have a goal, if I have a goal in life or in mind to say, only thing I would measure.
Cynthia G would love you, by the way.
No, she wouldn't. No, she wouldn't. We already tried that. But anyway.
You tried it. So you went over there. You went over there to talk to her. As far as
man, we ain't saying we gonna keep it pushing with this situation. I measure me personally. I measure progress on what I'm trying to get done. I don't have the energy to look at others and seeing what they do. I don't have that type of time. And so if this person is doing whatever they're doing. And money measures something. It measures something, I think. But a man should make a progress on his goals and ambitions. If your goal is to make, so what now?
It's an outcome.
Yeah, production.
Well, so your goals and ambitions can be measured in part by the money you make, an outcome.
It depends. Oh well, if that is the case. If that is the case, and if I want to be let's say I want to be a cop or whatever the case may be, I'll measure progress of me being a cop. Now, how well of a cop I am, that's not measured by the money that you make.
No, actually, you get paid in different rank structures and stuff like that.
Even more so than that. Even more so than the money
make more money to be cops.
Even more so than the money component. Even more so than the money component. Your measure of your performance as a cop is gauged by your superiors and by your industry. They have certain metrics and certain benchmarks that they use to measure your performance.
Right.
The problem with the black community is that we have people within the community who think that they can measure their manhood by themselves. And you cannot do that. There has to be a collective agreement that you have met the benchmark. Other communities have rites of passages where they determine that you are a man. But in the black community, you're a man because you say you're the man or because a woman says you're a man. That's the problem with the black community.
Hold on,
No.
Super Triz. Hold on, Super Triz. Super Triz. You shouldn't take it away from the money because it gives them a convenient out. You got to keep it on there because in a capitalist society, the measurement is money.
Oh, I'm not taking away
It
from
is
money
money.
because because money is the starting point. Money is the starting point. Not only you making money, but what you do with the money. But you have to get the money first.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's many metrics, and we can't avoid the fact because he's trying to make the argument that at some point you're determined to be a man, but you can't fall out of your manhood. You're talking about specific extenuating circumstances. Somebody gets paralyzed, or somebody has
even if you're talking,
on,
even if you take the money off the equation, it's interesting what you brought up when it comes to the group. That's an interesting concept because let's say you take the money off the table. If you take money off the table, then depending on, it could be any group, depending on what the group is, you still have to have that consensus that you fit a standard. Now, there's certain universal standards when it comes to manhood. There are certain universal standards, but the problem is a lot of black men like to, let's be clear here too, women don't define what those standards are. And that's one thing that everybody in the manosphere agrees with, including Jason Black. Women, well, this is where the genetic currency and genetic utility part come in. Black women have demonstrated they have no problem sleeping with black men that they don't consider men, to be real. Because honestly, a lot of times black women will say they don't submit to black men because they don't consider black men men. But they will submit to white men because they consider them men. But they'll still have babies by black men. So we already established that black women can't be a metric by what really, you can't just stand on black women as a group to determine what black manhood is. Their outcomes by themselves and them being at the bottom show that. But my problem is what metric a group of men, and this is where that network shit comes from, where Kevin is talking about when it comes to a high value man. The group has to deem you high value in order for you to just be high value, because typically if you're high value, a group is going to find value of you. Now, outside of that, it's the same thing when you look at just manhood. If you're a man, then generally other men are going to give you the respect due of being a man because they can get that from you. Now, if you have a lot of dudes that have a fucking problem with that, usually it's because they don't fit that standard.
Yeah.
And by the way, broke ass niggas, poverty written dudes don't set that standard either, because that's the difference between misery love company and actually setting a standard. It's two different things. So I want to be clear about that. So all these people that got an issue with Kevin, they're trying to create a new standard based on their own collective misery. That's not the same thing. I just want to point that out.
Well, I would easily say this: if money makes a man, then,
but nobody has yet to make an argument that money on its own necessarily makes a man. But you're not understanding that all of the intangibles that it takes to get money, get money does take you to have certain elements of being a man. See, you keep on wanting to talk about these you want to talk about motherfuckers that have had money just given to them. Most black men are first generation making money. Or dudes, I don't know, who are these people that you're talking about that represent it's just money that make you a man that you're talking about? Because you haven't established that either.
Well, because my whole premise is before you anything, you're a man. Because so
by definition, there's no standard because you're looking at manhood as absolute baseline.
No. Before you anything, you're a man, and so you conduct yourself as a man. You been dealing with other men. You conduct yourself as a man. It's very few. If we walked in the room, it's very few people.
That's like saying to be a heterosexual. That's like saying to be a heterosexual. You just need to conduct yourself as a heterosexual.
Hold on, Ray.
Who's a man?
Hold on. Why did rites of passages exist?
Well, I think rites of passages exist to see if a boy can somewhat stands up to the responsibility and the pressures of being a man.
Okay, so the purpose was when you biologically got to the point where they determined you needed to learn how what attributes make up a man, it doesn't mean you just exist and you have a male genitalia. There are certain
That's correct.
attributes and behaviors that are necessary components that make up you as a man. And if you didn't have those components dictated by the superior males around you, you were not considered a man. Right?
So when you keep saying this
So
before you
it don't
anything, you a man shit, that's complete bullshit. I don't think nobody agrees
Well,
with that.
I tell you what.
You got a dick.
I tell you what. Because again, I'm just from Memphis, Tennessee, and we cut a little different from anywhere else in the country. I tell you what.
What to call it said that. Okay, I'm not even gonna go there.
Let any
Bastard baby make the capital of the United States, but we're not gonna go there.
No, I'm just
Of
saying.
course, you think you representing?
No.
Black said that same shit. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying this. If anybody,
you know who Platinum is, right? The same nigga that said that you fuck a Gabrielle Cinnabay because she a lawyer, so you can live up under her ass. That's a lick. Go ahead.
Is he from Memphis?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I need to. I don't even. I haven't ran into him, but he hasn't made himself known to me, and I'm pretty visible in certain places, but. In Memphis, everything one a little different.
So you're basically describing what manhood is in Memphis, right?
Well, no. If a person loses his job, that makes $250,000 a year. If he loses that job, now his manhood should not be shaken because of that, because he lost a job.
Well, money and income are two different things.
Yeah.
That's number one. I mean, one of the favorite. This is why I like promoting Glenn and Cameron so much. Is Glenn and Cameron is homeless. Glenn and Cameron has this platform called Disruptive Male, and he talks about, we teach men to be masculine, and he talks about masculinity and what it is to be a man. This comes from a black man who used to be homeless. This comes from a black man that was married, they got divorced. They had to deal with, he's basically gone. A lot of the stuff you're speaking to, he's experienced them and had to overcome these things. And this is a dude, 50 years old, getting young chicks, lifted weights, all of that. So he definitely has a lot of stuff covered as far as a lot of these little dissensions that people will have. But my point is, all the shit that you're talking about, he would say the same shit. He would say that, he might not say that he wasn't a man, but he would definitely say he was not up to par when he was homeless. And he had to change stuff amongst who he was in order to get out of that situation. Because
a man makes the decision. A man makes decisions. You dig what I'm saying? Because there was a process. Because I've been homeless, I don't have to sleep out of my cars and stuff like that. And so my problem was.
And you still consider yourself a man?
Yes. Because I stood.
If you don't mind me asking, how long were you homeless?
I was homeless about 6 months.
Okay.
About 6 months, and I said, man,
you didn't think your manhood card was suspended. You think
no?
You still believe you deserve. Still believe that you deserve the respect of somebody else who would be considered a man with that situation.
Yes, because a man. The thing is, if a man standing on his principles, on his principles as a man, regardless of whether it hurts him or not. Then yes, you are a man because you stand.
So you're saying all these black men that are homeless. I'm not saying that they should be treated with human respect. That's different. Human respect. You're saying that they should be looked up to like their peers.
No. They should be looked as a peer. That means you're no less than I am.
Well, that's
more human respect. There's a difference. So you're saying that homeless black men should be revered. I should look at a homeless black man like I look at BGS Igmore.
Well, I don't know if idolizing them or looking up to them for.
Because there's a difference between treating somebody with respect. We're not talking about spitting on anybody. It's just like the black women that are fat. I mean, I don't treat them with disrespect. But I'm not gonna look at them like they're the standard by which I should black women on.
No, the thing is, I guess it's a me thing. It's just I don't see anyone greater than me, and I don't see anyone less than me.
I got a question. Do you believe that all black women deserve protection?
Deserve who?
All
No,
black
no,
women
no,
deserve
no.
protection.
Well, they deserve protection. So they sell guns every day.
Well, I
What?
mean, they deserve protection as far as that black men should protect them.
Man, look,
All black women.
man, hell no. Fuck no.
Okay, you
Shit
said
no.
hell no. So what would disqualify a black woman from getting
Well,
protection?
I would say whoever you giving your sex to,
What?
eating from the back, whoever you getting that to,
Well,
let
I'm
them
not talking about individually.
protect
I'm
you.
talking about from the collective of black men as a group.
I would
What
say
do you think would disqualify you from that?
I would say if you need protection from whom and from what.
All right, you kind of. My
You're
point is
dancing around the
what
question.
I'm saying is what is the standard? Let me give you an example. Black women that are married to pretty much. I'm not saying they should be like at least the first considered because they demonstrated that they're in a relationship that's committed to a black man. If they're with a black man, assuming under certain rules of what we can assume a marriage is. At least while they're married, they're there, right?
Okay.
So so that's different between a black female that has a whole bunch of kids by a whole bunch of different niggas. See, there's a standard there. And that's what I'm talking about. And it's the same thing with manhood. You believe that all men should get submission from women.
Well,
Be honest.
well, that all men shouldn't
I
get.
mean, it is a yes or no question.
Well, no, because it's loaded.
Yeah.
No,
It's
no,
not
because
loaded.
it's loaded because here's what you're saying. All women should submit to all men.
Oh damn,
Well,
my bad. Obsidian, my bad. If the Obsidian guy, I wasn't even looking at it. I'm sitting there, Obsidian.
Wait, where did
God,
submission come? He said respect. He said the protection.
You
He said
respect?
nothing about submission. No, he said protection. He said nothing about
I know,
submission.
and hold on, let me pause this. So shout out to Ryo, shout out to Super Trez. Let me see everybody in the chat. My bad. This is important because one thing that the reason why I'm saying this is because I do want to hear people out. This is what I'm talking about when people create their own channel and then they get to put out what their views are. I want to hear you out with what you got to say because people, it's easy to descend upon what somebody else is saying, but when we talk about, let's just talk about manhood. I mean, because everything that you're saying is like providing an out. You're looking. It's almost like you're looking to. It's the same thing if Kevin or if anybody talks about black women in their weight, and they're saying, "Oh, they think they should get a high value man." Let's define it, makes $10,000 a month, but you weigh 180, 190 pounds. Oh, my bad, Black Cooper, I hear you. 190 pounds. It's like you don't fit the standard. Shout out to Black Ace. I agree with what a lot of Kevin says, but y'all have taken this high value man and are deifying worshiping this term. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, man. And a lot of dudes are caring. It's amazing how a lot of dudes talk about being a high value, being a man is about principle, but what they're doing is you can tell how strong their principles are by how they react to somebody giving a difference of opinion. I mean, you showing their principle. And shout out to Andre Hatchett, who with the 99 super chat. Make sure y'all check out Andre Hatchett. If you all are looking, and not to say mainstream is not a productive space, obviously Andre Hatchett is in it. But if you are looking at if you are looking for like the black business sector, like a real Andre Hatchett serves as a gateway to it because he does a lot of kick-ass interviews of black men who own apartment complexes, really good interviews. So it allows you to kind of see people and through those people. And the black business sector is actually a lot bigger than what a lot of people think. So definitely check out Andre's channel. I actually need to check out his channel, start promoting it more. And I want to do that not because he gave me a super chat, but it is very valuable. Also, he's got that notary business school with as well, which when you look at houses being sold and it's harder for people to get notaries and stuff. If you're in like the top 15 or top 20 cities, I mean, he says you use it anywhere, but I would say that's definitely a good hustle. It's definitely worth it. I went through the program myself. I went to I have made money with it. I went to Wait Tech, got certified. It's an interesting conversation with the way we're doing these ballots now as a notary. So it's something, I'm not just talking about something that I haven't dealt with. He's got good information. He disseminates it well. And I was able to get certified within probably like a week from taking not just his class, but actually taking action on it. I just don't talk about it a lot. So anyway, shout out to that. Also, I'm going to put Archer stuff in there too. Okay, so you got a couple other people. So, so I just want to put that in there. But well, go ahead, Archer.
I'm just curious because, I mean, when it comes down to this, it's like we're trying to make it so there's no hierarchy amongst the men. Manhood is all about hierarchy. We all understand hierarchy exists.
Okay, but
So
who establishes? Who has established that hierarchy? We don't have an established hierarchy. I mean, we
because
have
everybody's a
opinions.
man.
What you mean?
We have opinions that have been asserted by people of varying degrees of persuasion and of status in the external world.
We're talking about
But
universal
some people
standards.
would say,
We're
some
talking about
people would say
universal standards.
that you're not a man. Some people would say that you're not a man if you're not married.
Yes,
Some people would say you're not a man if
I've
you're
heard
not
that.
married and don't have children. Now, are those appropriate criteria? Some people would make some very persuasive arguments along the lines of saying that if you are not married and you are not raising children by a certain age, you are not a man.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't agree with that, by the way. And in fact, I pretty much agree with Ray. You know, I'm de facto giving all brothers manhood, regardless of their position, regardless of their situation, regardless of their struggles. Now, I might count you as a bad man. I might count you as a dishonorable man. I might count you as an unproductive man. I might even count you as an evil man. But if you are a black adult male, I'm saying you're a man. And here's the interesting thing to me. Women get to pull all kinds of bullshit. They get to do all kinds of things. They get to be mothers, not mothers. They get to be married, not married. They get to be whores, not whores. We never talk about discounting these females as being women. We never talk about that.
I mean, that's what we do
What you mean
all
we
the
don't?
time. What's
No, we never say in society that that's not a woman.
No,
We don't say that.
Hold on. You just made the argument that there's no standard that we have, but then you're saying that we don't
because I'm not
about women.
and understand when I'm talking about man, because when you're saying you're not a productive,
It's not even comparable. Black men spend their lives having their questions of their manhood. Even productive black men have their manhood regularly questioned. You don't have that happen with white men. You don't have that happen.
Well, that's because
with
every other group of men have a hierarchy that's clearly set.
Whether or not African American men are men. Because in this society, we want to look.
You're coming in.
I
don't want to mute you, but you're coming at this from a perspective that we're not even talking about. I mean, at the end of the day, the problem in the black community, every other group, they have a standard. They call white trash for a reason.
Exactly.
So they may say there's a man.
I've never heard them say white trash.
I've never
heard them say they're not men. They may say they're white trash.
You're getting hung up on the word. You're getting hung up on the word.
I got a book right now called 400. I got a book right now called White Trash: 400 Years of Class in America, and you should see the words that they use to describe those poor white.
Okay, Rael,
I gotta mute everybody because this is gonna. It's not about disagreeing. It's not about disagreeing. But this is about to take this into something. Oh, because see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it should go without saying that, like, this, I understand all the stuff you're talking about. Because I'm talking about the gynocracy, Black Guru. But it's really like, with the vocabulary, it's like, okay, because I'm using the term man, it's like, okay, I'm talking about what a baseline standard needs to be. We could call it whatever. We could call it standard manhood or whatever. Like, call it whatever. If you want to use the term man and say unproductive, fine. Let's call it man, but unproductive. But this is really about black men having an understanding of what is the standard by which you need to move in this world. We can call it whatever we want to call it.
50 years ago, or maybe less, depending on where you were or are, you could have been a highly productive black man, and some shiftless white person could have called you a boy. And you would have had to accept that he called you a boy. Look, from my perspective, and maybe it's my age, I'll admit that, because I come from a perspective of this whole man-boy thing was really a language, was a weapon, was a type of weapon. And so when you talk, from a perspective of a black man, I'm not, I'm not easy about conceding that an adult black male
I
is not
get
a
all
man.
of that, but man, what you doing is you bringing in
Derailing
like
the
historical
conversation.
We didn't
things,
drink
nothing
from
of
the
what
water
we
fountain,
saying.
man. We talking about a basic standard, man.
Because that
Yeah.
is, because I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
something. That is not what Brother Ray is saying. He
That's
ain't
not
brought
what
none
he's
of that
saying.
into
He's
it.
Asserting whether we should have standards have nothing to do with whether or not you are a man. I'm all for standards. I've lived my whole life.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
I've been married. I've graduated college. I've owned a business. I know
derailing the
about all that.
conversation.
All right, then.
I'm
So you
totally
just hung
making it a
up on the
word
word,
conversation.
but the
Man,
word
this
is
is about racism,
the word is
about
the word is the make. This is why you got to remember you're talking to all black men here. Ain't nobody on the ultra hood.
Are you sure? Have we all qualified?
But nobody gives a fuck about the goddamn word. Like,
well, I'm talking about we are all male.
You said we're all.
Okay, man.
I told you, man.
This is what happens when you nuke a conversation. You are nuking the conversation over something.
Over a word.
Ray was a man.
We all know what we mean by
you are nuking the conversation over.
I mean, seriously,
we've had this conversation with BGS, who understands all the context stuff you talking about. When he talks about millennials and shit, I'm on the other side of that conversation, but I understand where he's coming from. Hell, to be honest with you, I'll throw BGS in there. BGS just said that he hasn't said you're not a man, but there's a certain development that you get with having children that you don't get unless you have had children. Now, I disagree with that, but I can disagree with that. What we're talking about is this idea that a lot of black men believe that they deserve the rights of spoils that they never got just by de facto of them existing. And this is the problem with our community.
Hold on. What are those spoils? What are they?
What we're talking about is, for instance, we talk about your ability to reproduce. When we talk about the business, we're talking about respect as far as performance. They should have that just by, and I said,
I gave you the right to reproduce.
And I said this just by definition. I said this too. I said we're not talking about being treated like respect from a human standpoint. I said that, by the way. What we're talking about is this idea of, and see, what we're really saying is like black men don't want a standard at all. They really don't. What it really, they always want a reason to have an out. And here's the truth: you can't compete with any other group with that mentality. And honestly, even with you bringing in the slave piece, because Jewish people have had to deal with that from a standpoint that they weren't respected, but at the same time, they still had a standard amongst themselves. And even when black men were being called a boy, black men still had a standard amongst themselves. That we know the white boys based on racism, but even amongst themselves, they still had a standard. And the thing is, we got too many dudes. They use Kevin from a high value man standpoint, but the truth is they don't want a standard for anything. That's the issue. That's what I'm pretty much uncovering by saying that they don't want a standard. They want to say I exist, therefore that's all I need to be. That's really the problem.
Well, the high value argument is a different argument from whether or not you're an
but they hide behind the argument. And what I'm establishing is it doesn't matter if it's a high value man. A lot of dudes don't believe their shit. I'm not saying this is you, because you got different. I understand the reasons, but what your reasons are is not reasons with entering this conversation. Because here's the thing: you notice how he didn't bring that up, because that's not what's in his context. This is not about me telling him he ain't a man. This is me. It's that he's the one that had the dissenting opinion. But nobody's sitting here trying to call black men boys and shit like that. Now, this is something I will say. I will say that if you are a black man and you're in a fucked up position to the point where you're a burden to everybody, and there's people that's trying to help you, and you ain't trying to accept help, but you still think you deserve to be treated with respect, even though you're a burden, you go to hell. I'm talking about anybody that's in that position.
Black Uru, hold on. Do you think that you can be physically an adult and be mentally a child?
Well, of course. I mean, that's
what we're talking about. That was
I mean, I don't know what you mean by mentally a child, though. I mean, you're still a man. You're still a man.
Let me give you an example.
Obviously, a defective man.
I got one you can understand and you should agree with. And you're an older guy. Now, you know that by the time you was 18 years old, there's going to be certain things that you can expect from somebody that's a peer in your age range, that chances are, if you're 18 years old, you had a lot more stuff going on as far as maturity, as far as you being able to navigate through life than what millennials will typically have by that same age. generally on the average. Would you agree with this or disagree with this?
Yeah, I mean,
That's true for even the women.
Set up
That's true
differently.
even for
You
the
had to
women
get
too.
certain things going earlier in life. Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I get the thing. I get the reasons. It doesn't matter. I get the reasons why on both sides. But the point is, they were black people, and this is Americans in general, by the way. Americans were more emotionally mature because they had to be, and because of the environment. I get all that, but they were. And by the same time, you argue the Europeans today are a lot more emotionally mature at the same age than what millennial wise and what millennials here are. My point is that is true. So it's the same thing with maturity on the offset. Where it comes to men right now are generally not where they need to be. And that's the case. We want to talk about exceptions. This is not us about saying you ain't shit, you don't deserve shit. This is about the idea of people having a problem with us even establishing what the standard should be, and they want to hide behind certain things. I mean, at least you had an actual reason based on history and stuff. Most of these people don't have that reason. They want to talk about, well, I'm from Memphis, so it's we cut from a different cloth. But you was on the same panel with Platinum was talking about you need to live up under a woman. That's a lick for you to have. That's a choice.
Did I say that? Did I say that? Did I
no,
say?
You didn't say that,
oh,
but I can define. That's why I said Platinum. But you're not the first. That's not the first person from Memphis to ever tell me that. And when you understand the situation in Memphis, where as far as the single mother situation and these women being 4, 5, 6 baby mamas and baby daddy situations in Memphis, then you start getting an opinion about how people are running shit down there over there in Memphis, which is only the state to the left of me. Because that shit is not going to be able to get pulled anywhere. Well, I won't say anywhere else, but that shit is not respected, for the most part, because that creates a certain condition, which creates that standard. That standard produces the condition. And so all we're doing is setting standards, and we're taking, because Obsidian is a blue collar guy. So we're taking the high value part out of it. And what we're starting to establish is manhood in it itself is this esoteric thing that should just mean anything to anybody. And no other group operates that way. Because you can't be competitive as a group operating that way.
Yo, Edward, I'm about to jump off my phone. Now, you mind if I get like maybe 60 seconds?
Yeah, get your last thought.
Yeah, when we talk about things like, okay, I'm going to bring it back to economics. If we talk about somebody who's upper middle class, working class, poor, there are standards and requirements you have to meet to be considered in any one of those groups. And somebody cannot say who's in the working middle class cannot say I'm rich if they don't meet this a certain amount of wealth or income standard annually or whatever, So when we talk about creating standards, we talk about creating a baseline that is hard set, that you cannot use situations to get around. So when we talk about a manhood, we talk about manhood as this is the bar, this is the line in the sand. Do you meet that line or not? We don't make it subjective. You can't make economic skills subjective. It's all set in stone.
Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
So when we talk about manhood, we're trying to create an establishment where it is set in stone. This is at least the base bar you have to meet. Yeah. We can't even do that. We can't even.
Well, can I?
And I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I want to get Ace in here, but appreciate it. Hey, Archer, like you put that link in the chat. I will definitely share it, and then go ahead, Black Guru.
What's his name? The founder of Facebook.
What's up? Mark Zuckerberg.
Is his name Mark Zuckerberg? Is he more of a man than Robert Smith? I mean, he's worked like, let's say 20 times or 15 times more than Robert Smith.
Well, money is
that means he's 15 times more of a man.
That's the argument that money is everything. That's the argument that money's everything. That's the argument. That is the argument that money is everything. Nobody said that money was everything.
I'm trying to get some perspective on just
hold on. But Black Guru, hold on.
You're reaching, man.
But Black Guru,
seriously are reaching,
hold on, Rael. You said we never said money was everything. But we said, but here's the thing. Hold on. At the end, hold on. I'm gonna tell you why that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Robert Smith is a billionaire, and so is Mark Zuckerberg. So there, by definition, what we're not doing. I mean, I'm not saying what you're not gonna do. I'm saying the argument that we're talking about is not a tit for tat type of thing. We're talking about what a standard is. So it's kind of like, can you dunk or can you not dunk? It doesn't matter if you can touch the top of the backboard. It just matters if you can dunk. If you can dunk, you're hitting that standard. And then we're not even saying that money's the only metric by the standard. But we also, here's the thing. People love to talk about manhood, but they don't never like to talk about how manhood translates into tangible things. Whenever I hear black men try to act like manhood doesn't translate into tangible things, then at that point they're trying to con. That's how I see it. And at the and the problem with us as a community is, like Archer just said, I mean, it's a standard. Like in order, like I'll say it like this.
I mean, you guys keep saying standard, but I mean, the standard, maybe the standard is whether or not you've been in the military, or whether or not you've been in a war zone in the military.
But everybody,
whether or not you've had, I mean, because
so
if you want to talk about there should be a standard, let's have a real and full conversation about what those standards should be.
Let's start.
Now, just because,
what is your universal standard of what a productive man is? What is your universal standard?
My universal standards.
Man, I said it was utility.
Well,
or a history.
I do believe, me personally, but again, I know how society has evolved, or as I might define it, devolved. But if you'd ask the 30-year-old version of myself, what's manhood, I would say getting married, having a family, buying a home, investing in the community, maintaining a home, participating and developing that community so you'd have good, safe schools, thriving and participating in local councils, things of that nature to ensure that the neighborhood was safe for the children, was safe for my wife and for my neighbors' wives and children. Obviously working hard, being able to earn a living so that I could comfortably provide a household and community for my children, investing in ways in which to augment that income to further fortify myself economically and give options to my children to attend good schools, graduate college, themselves become productive people, start on the road of being independently operating adults, men, or, well, in my case, I only had daughters, so women. So, I mean, there are, in my view, and my views are fairly traditional about manhood. Now, a lot of those don't necessarily apply in the manosphere. A lot of those don't necessarily apply in common parlance to these days. And I understand why to a large degree. But my point is, if we're going to start talking about asserting what's manhood, what's high value manhood, I mean, like with the high value man thing, in my view, I think it's even, in my view, I would say maybe let's say I don't know, for people we know, Man of Tomorrow or Xavier, I would consider them to have very high value, because not only are they productively employed, but they employ other Black men. So that would be more important to me in terms of determining whether or not someone was a high value, that they actually wrote a check out to another brother, than whether or not you just make a high salary in a corporation and you can be easily replaced by the next guy. Those are my views about that.
Yeah, the core of everything, a lot of stuff, you said a lot of stuff, this, what I'm about to say correlates with a lot of stuff you said. I said the core of what manhood is utility, or a history of utility. That's what I said. And that's the one thing that if you pull that thread, then a lot of people will be saying, okay, you're not fitting what the definition of manhood is. Outside of the you're just a boy type of thing, obviously slaves and stuff like that.
But should I deem someone a boy who, for example,
that's not what we're saying. You are bringing that into this. I mean, I understand, but that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that there is a standard that has to be met. And my thing is, if we're going to play because of white supremacy card, we shouldn't expect nothing. And at the end of the day, I'm like, what are we here for? Because this is why you get the brain drain in the Black community that you get, because it's like everybody wants to make excuses for certain things. There should be a baseline. And what I'm saying is, what is your utility? Because all the things that you talked about was like tertiary aspects of utility. And so the argument that we've been having is how you cannot
here's the
be a
thing
utility, but you still.
Here's the thing I didn't do though, Edwin. I did not say that those were the only valid measurements of manhood.
And, well, I'm
you asked
you
me what my opinion was.
No, absolutely. And I'm telling you, utility. If you don't have utility, as far because here's another thing too that kills me, and this is not nothing to do with you. You got a lot of black people, whether it's black men or black women, that they love to be very vague about this sort of stuff. But then when you actually look at what they complain about, they're choosing the very thing that they're complaining about, whether it's black men or black women. And they're not being honest with themselves about what they find is utility. Let's take the women, for example. This is why I use the term genetic currency and sexual currency, some people would say, but I'm going to say genetic currency and economic currency. Because I understand that the utility that some of these dudes that ain't, it's not an economic currency these females are serving, the value add is their genetic currency. And at the end of the day, the women need to stop bitching about them dudes because them dudes gave them what they wanted. Doesn't matter what the dudes got. They gave you what you were looking for because otherwise you wouldn't be there. So when women use terms like he's got potential and all of this, yet then talk about where the men at or what are the men doing, it's like, no. These black men gave you the value you wanted. The problem is you want to remix the narrative. It's the same thing in reverse that what black men do. When black men talk about they want a certain type of female, but at the end of the day, a lot of the chicks that they fuck be on some crazy shit. Well, if you want crazy bitches give you crazy results. And so it's about being honest with yourself. So I really personally don't care because I have my opinions like you do, but I find that everybody wants to, and like you said it wasn't the only valid part of manhood, and that was important too. It's just that too many dudes feel a certain type of way about what another man is saying, as if another man is saying is really that important. And my thing is, if you're really doing what you need to be doing, people wouldn't feel a certain type of way. And so anyway, I
don't have any issue at all.
Oh, Ace left. So yeah, I was involved. But yeah, so when people, I hear what you're saying, but you brought in the element, and that's fine. I mean, but like that's not what Brother Wade was talking about. And this thing, the fact that we even have to spend this long of a conversation to even have this conversation, this shows you other groups don't do this. Even if a white man is dealing with a dude that he considers white trash, he knows what the fuck he's getting though. Because there's certain other elements of it too. So you can make the argument about the manhood, but there's certain things he's getting. I don't care if people call it manhood or call it something else, but we got to start getting on the same page of what a standard is. Because this is why in the manosphere, everybody feels like they can, tear down content creators and everything because they think they're equal to everybody. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're not putting your stuff out here as a content creator, then until you do, I'm not talking about you, but anybody, this idea that certain people can't live and let live, I don't agree with that. Because like I said, I don't think our people should listen to RBR, but I don't go out of my way to sit there and try to tear RBR down. Even with Taz, Taz is probably the person I don't like Taz, I don't like Steve the King, I really don't like Super Sly either. But you don't really hear me mention Super Sly, I mean tell you if you mention them. Their right to exist as far as being on this platform, I recognize, regardless of what I think about it. And so when people go out of their way to try to tear down other YouTube channels and try to tear people apart, that's some bullshit. And that's really what this conversation was about in the first place. It just turned into like Kevin and manhood because like I said, like if you want to say, if anybody that tells me money doesn't matter, that's a person that should not be trusted. And there's too many black men that want to allude to money doesn't matter, and they want to have that money doesn't matter rhetoric. And that's a big part of what keeps black men where they are. It really is. They want to allude to it, or they want to kind of low key put it out there that money doesn't matter, or money's not important in manhood. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that's saying that you can be broke without manhood, that's to be looked at suspect. That's to be looked at suspect. And I'm not talking about you disabled or you this. You should be treated like you a little boy. I'm not talking about that. Well, I'm talking about somebody's gonna, and I'm not saying money is the only thing either, but it's too many black men like the idea of you can be on the same level as someone else, but you can be on the same level as a Robert Smith and you got $0. As if Robert Smith is gonna be just as if that person's gonna be just as valuable to the community as a Robert Smith. Somebody dropping babies is not on the same value level from a community standpoint. And what are we really teaching the younger people if we're really establishing that's what it is? Because what we're essentially saying is utility doesn't matter.
No, here's what I'm saying, and I always say it.
And we got
I
another
just
like
say
15 minutes.
okay.
So
I don't misunderstand me. It takes money to buy land. It takes money to buy guns. So money is important. But now, if I had to rank the two, then my manhood would be first. My manhood would
okay.
be first.
Yeah,
So
and what
that's
what I would tell any female that buys into that, I would say you got all the manhood your imagination could want. So what are you complaining about? Because a lot of black women have that mentality too, and they do the most bitching and complaining. But go ahead.
well because here's the thing. Here, and I don't want to drop too much game, but it's all with anything. It's all about consistency. Kevin is correct, and consistency matters because that's what a brand is. A brand is basically what you consistently do. That's what you're known by. And so if you start off a certain way and then all of a sudden it flips or you are something totally different, yeah, you're not showing consistency. And so the for black men, for men, your manhood should be consistent. Whether whether your income is $1,000,000 a year or you lost it all. You understand what I'm saying? Your manhood should not be
But see,
sacred.
nobody's out here talking like we're throwing these big numbers out here, and we're not talking about high value manhood.
What he's talking about is not manhood. You're talking about self-esteem and confidence.
Yeah, that's really what you're talking about.
No, Matt, because it's your who you are.
We're talking about men that should be trusted. We are talking about men that should be trusted with leadership.
Is having a high regard for yourself. That's what that means.
Right.
Having
We're talking about people that should be trusted with leadership.
It's the belief that you can go out here and accomplish stuff.
We're talking about leaders.
But you don't exist in the individual context. You exist also in a social context. So in a social context, if you're sitting there and you're homeless, are you saying that a man that has a daughter is going to be like, hey, yeah, get with that guy? Is he going to say that? No, he's not going to say that because he doesn't see you as having the value necessary to be able to provide and take care of his daughter, right?
Right.
Okay, so there is levels to this shit.
Well, a quick question, because again, if you are, why are men so worried about other men's opinion about them? I don't understand. I do not understand that.
I will answer the question for you.
Please do.
Khalid Muhammad, may peace be upon him, said a long time ago. He said, when it comes to who you are, you develop in the context of the group. So yeah, you have your own individual personality, but part of that personality developing comes from a social context, a social framework. So you can sit there and act like those things doesn't matter, but they do matter. You know what I'm saying? You should actually care about how you're viewed in a social context. The reason why black people have this mentality, I said this at the beginning, when I came on, when you've been raised to be anti-family, what you do is you become anti-social. And that's what's happening with a lot of black people. So a lot of black people will say, I don't care how about nobody think about me. I've heard black people say that for years, but they carry themselves in a very raggedy ass fashion. But when you if you want to just leave, if you want to just stay if let's say you want to stay in the hood and the ghetto, that's fine. The hood, that's a small percentage of the world like that in terms of when it comes to people who actually being productive. When you step outside of those confines, man, that's how you comport yourself really does matter. And it is capital. I read it. I read it the other day. Financial capital, social capital, and human capital. And that social capital matters. What you learn in the family context gives you a skeletal of how you're supposed to really interact in the social framework outside of your family. That's what it's supposed to do. But when you're being raised to have anti-family values, you're going to become an anti-social person who doesn't think these things matter, but they do matter. They do carry weight. And that's what we're saying. We're not we wasn't making an argument you know, based on some historical stuff that happened in slavery where black men were called boys by even young white boys, even though they were grown. That's not the context of what we're talking about. We were talking about in the context of being being productive, as everyone was talking about being a utility, having that value, being of some use. And if you're sitting up there having no usefulness in the context of manhood, in the context of when we had rites of passages and things like that, then that's not going to happen. You're not going to be viewed as the same as everybody else, even within your own. Even when you look at the rappers, a lot of time, what is one of the things that a lot of rappers do to each other to try to differentiate themselves from other rappers? Man, I got more money than you. That's what they do. That's what they do.
And the thing, and this issue only comes up when it comes to money. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like it makes it sound like these are like we don't understand all the nuances that people are trying to bring to the plate. Like we don't understand that. Of course, we understand that. You know, a lot of the value in the manosphere is not about money. It's about the accuracy of the information, the historical content of the information, the experiences people are bringing to the table, the logic of their information, your ability to use that information and translate it into future events, people's ability to predict future events based on their experience. None of that has anything to do with money, but it does have everything to do with your utility in this space. And what a lot of people try to come at certain people with, by the way, is the social capital. They'll try to say, well, you need to prove these receipts and all of that. But at the end of the day, social capital in the black community is not really productive because social capital in the black community is really built on unsatisfied things that lead to a negative residual outcome. And it's been proven. Like women will take black men with social status and then they'll deal with those black men, but that social status, that social capital does not translate into any of the other capital. This is why people could say, "Oh, well, Malcolm X was a man." That's because and he didn't have money. That's because Malcolm X was able to take his social capital and translate it into human capital through him himself and the nation of Islam. So that we all know that. But what everybody's really looking for is they're really looking for us to give examples to give them an out. That's really what they're looking for. We know what it is for. We could say that if you live with your parents and you're a certain amount of age, unless you paying bills, especially if you ain't paying bills, when we say you're not a man, it's not designed to shame. It's just saying you're not meeting the standard enough to actually be a useful, person to work with, even when it in any context. But the fact that black men have to wrestle with this like they do, to the point where everybody wants to challenge it, it's not about you, Ray, personally. It's about like how much people go out of their way to try to. It takes time and energy to try to destroy somebody else's channel. It takes time and energy to try to go out of your way to discredit somebody. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people who do this, and it ain't just Kevin. I've seen people do this with I mean, let's be clear here. I've heard people like when people make the arguments about black men to go overseas. I've heard some of the same arguments. The arguments of you do this because you can't measure up and all of that. And what do? Sorry, what do we do with those arguments? We basically take those arguments and address those arguments head on, saying, here's the logic of what you're saying, here's why what you're saying doesn't make sense. And we leave it at that. We don't take it as an attack on manhood, even though you got motherfuckers that will try to make that argument. So
utility is an important part of manhood. I'm not discounting utility. So I don't want to get it misunderstood. And I'm saying, usefulness is not a part of manhood. Yes, usefulness, even if it's unto yourself, is all a part of being a man. So no, I'm not poo-pooing on utility. Utility is very, very, very important. So and being because like Black Guru says, I believe what he said was being a man is fueled by his masculinity. So, you know, that's just me. I don't deny the social hierarchy thing, you know, who determines what and baseline and stuff like that. Going into a room or going to court and going to public places, you know, and meeting, nobody really knows that but how you carry yourself. So I believe every man should have a standard for himself, how he carries himself, what he allow, what he will not allow, and go from there. So that's it for me.
All right, Ryo, got anything to say to that?
I would just say this, man.
Because we doing last words.
What I'm realizing that is that you got to be very careful. As men, not just you know, as women and men, but I'm specifically speaking to these men out here. You got to be very careful in who you're taking advice from, because Tariq Nasheed said this a long time ago, and I thought it was very much on point. He said there's a difference between an elder and an old nigga, and he said that an old nigga is somebody. He was talking about it, especially within the pro-black context too. He said an old nigga is somebody who, you know, goes from group to group, NOI, UIN, you know, they go to all these different groups. They really don't really accomplish anything in life. And when they basically give you information, all their information and all their advice is based off of being a failure. He was like, whereas an elder is somebody who goes through life, looks at has certain experiences, understands certain pitfalls, and are able to come back to you from that experience and not only show you how to navigate those pitfalls, but let you know where they exist. So, for example, like if you go up the street and you stub your toe on a rock, and then you come back and you say, "Hey, I know you're going to the store, but be careful of that rock at that particular street." So you already know what to be looking out for. And so, one thing I do not, I really don't like is when people try to use racial tones to try to mask the fact that they're individual failures in their own life. It's one of the worst things that a lot of I believe a lot of the older generation of black people do, male and female. And it doesn't help the younger generation because it makes them feel that there are things that out here that's insurmountable that they can't conquer and overcome, when a lot of times the stuff is you can overcome. People overcome a lot of things in life, man. It's easy to look at your own personal life and think it's the worst until you see people who have come from a village in Africa and their whole family got massacred. You know, so it's always somebody I hear whose story is a little worse than yours. And people still achieve. And so, you know, for me, like I just don't really think it's really valuable or helpful to try to tell, you know, to say that challenging black men to be the highest level they can be, the most productive, the most utilitarian they can be, is a bad thing, because ultimately, if it doesn't work for anybody else, it will at least work for that individual black man. And that's a good thing. And so for me, I just tell people, be careful, who you take advice from, because you don't really want to be taking advice from people who are stewed in misery and pain and failure. You'd rather be taking advice from people who actually have success. We know enough failures as far as black people. Start listening to people, man, who actually demonstrate success. That's all I got.
Black Guru.
Thanks for having me on the panel, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here with you again, and enjoy being here with the other brothers that were on the panel as well. You know, I guess I'm gonna kind of go in a different sort of unrelated direction. But you know, I was looking at this channel by Jason Whitlock, this new I think it's called Outkick or Outkick the Coverage or something. And it's interesting because a lot of the things that he sort of pushed backing on a lot of the feminization of the sports world,
Yeah, somebody
especially
been sending me that,
at
so I need to check that
ESPN.
out.
Well, the only reason I'm kind of bringing this up is, you know, a lot of the language that he is using in the videos is very much reminiscent of the language that's commonly used in the manosphere. And I
Oh,
think
let me
you're,
find out he biting.
you know, I think he's biting. I mean, I think, and not just him. I think I've kind of seen this. Well, here's the other interesting thing I observed. This white MGTOW guy did a response video to one of Janae's video. And it was quite fascinating because she basically was revealing just how much of a basket case she is, and just basically almost sort of celebrating a love for drug dealers, essentially. And he was, of course, you know, kind of ripping it to shreds. But it was interesting to see a white dude, and just a sort of regular white dude, kind of analyze the inanity or insanity of part of the black female gynocentric mindset, but it's being done by this white dude, you know, who don't, in my view, I don't think he has any presence or any, you know, yeah, any presence or whatever in the black manosphere. So I guess I'm mentioning these things to say
Yeah, that was a great ad.
that the message is spreading. I think it's spreading much more so than maybe we know or can see, but the language that you're hearing and the critiques, you know, and now white women are being kind of, kind of being kind of coming into the criticism of whatever, of this whole broader sort of gynocratic, uh, bizarre world we're currently in. So when I, as I see stuff like that, I'm very encouraged and kind of excited to see the direction that things may ultimately go in. So I think men like yourself, certainly the other more prominent men in this environment, I think you all may find yourself with very soon have a much bigger presence in the broader public parlance, so to speak. And I look forward to seeing and hearing that. So I'll leave it with that.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up that angle. Because yeah, like, and there's a couple of ways you can go about looking at it that way. You can look at it from a perspective of, because some people, I don't know if Greg Adams is getting off a lot of people. I'm not going to speak to that. I heard O'Shea mention that, and I have no reason why he would lie about that. But people can, but I know Jason Black through the book of Greg Adams, and I've listened to stuff he said. He hasn't said anything particularly crazy. He just wants to have a general audience, not just a black male-centric audience. Greg Adams has every right to have not just a black audience. He has every there is no fucking requirement. I'm gonna say it just like this: there is no fucking requirement for black people to have a black audience. With that being said, if you say some shit is on some straight bullshit, it agrees to that. If it's on some straight bullshit, then yeah, anything anybody has the right to criticize what's being said. Super Triz mentioned that, and that's true. But just having an audience and kind of servicing that audience, there's nothing wrong with that. Even if you're like a conservative, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's where if you try to throw an audience under the bus, to appease another audience. It's getting to the point where that narrative is starting to take over the greater narrative, and it's not even true. That's a different story. But Jason threw the kitchen sink at him and Donovan because just for their audacity to not be like pro-black, or at least their audience not be from a pro-black standpoint. And Jason basically acted like there's no value to be gained out of any audiences like that, and that's not true.
Yeah, but I think if you read between the lines of both Donovan and Greg Adams, if you really observe them, you'll see that there is much more fidelity there for black men in particular than it may be apparent to many. Just on the base, if you look at, like, I mean, Donovan has a whole panel of black guys mostly or entirely. So even though he doesn't necessarily target white men, black men, it's very clear that he has a strong connection with black men. And many of from what I've observed of Coach Adams, many of the supporters of his channels are definitely black men. So I think what those guys I think what they're doing subtly, and in some cases not so subtly, is communicating the fact that you can have a broader or a message that appears more broadly than strictly black men, while having fidelity and connection with and empathy with black men. And I think that is something.
And some people see that as a threat, because what they see that is see that as you diluting, I guess, the ultra pro black message. And the thing about it is, man, when it comes to Jason and stuff like that, what makes Jason's audience, everybody's just not. It's a difference between being like a cult and then really understanding that. And it is what it is. I mean, he can do it. That's why I'm proud of the Manosphere for not really going to war with that. Because
but Edward, if
I only had a certain amount of juice.
Edward, if I may put you on the spot somewhat for a second. When I first started observing you, you were sort of very kind of pro-black female, or kind of getting with a black woman. But over the years, you kind of loosened that.
Well, no. I'll say this, and I'm glad you put me on the spot. I've actually always said the same. It's just what have I empathized more? I've always stated the main core of what I've always said is this. I have always said that black men have every ability to basically have sex with any woman they want to have sex with, and then they can come back clear on women if they wanted to. Like, there's a difference between having sex and dealing with a woman.
Well, but I think more recently.
Yeah, but more recently, what I've basically stated, because I've said personally, if I have kids, it's going to be with black women for personal reasons. But I've always stated that black men can do what they want to do. The power is in their choice. And that's what I've always said. Now, I may empathize more things, over the time, because at the end of the day, I don't need to tell black men that they can have sex with black women. So, but I focus more on the choice aspect, because that's the only thing that's really going to move the needle is black men exercising their choice and being unapologetic about it, whether it's choosing them to have casual sex with other women and then coming back to black women, or they choose to just leave in general. So it's more. I hear what you're saying, and I know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just kind of see that in the context of what I was talking about earlier.
But you notice I've never shamed. Yeah, exactly. As far as the example, but I've never shamed black men for hopping. I
think you would agree. I think you said earlier, though, you understand that because of how things work, you may have to have an environment that's more competitive for black women in order to move things in any possibly positive direction. Because, like the women themselves said on BGS for Women, you guys may have to leave before we wake up.
Exactly.
I mean, they said that themselves.
Yep. Danielle said that, and a lot of them think that way. They just waiting for dudes to really actually do it. And even then, Harrison added the conversation, and even just dealing with men alone, that isn't usually enough for them to come up. So it is what it is. But But yeah, and at the same time, the manosphere is going to have to make peace where do we want to take advantage of the growth of this information being more accepted, or do we just want to let the white boys just take it and say do what they always do, but just say they came up with it first? And that's a funny thing about
and then they package it and put a different name on it, and next thing you know, hip hop is turned into
Jason doesn't even understand
whatever.
that because on his end it's all red pill anyway, so it's all white man stuff anyway. When a lot of shit they got it from us. And so he wants to make and see a lot of that bullshit about well, black men is just being up under white men is to make black women feel better about intersectionalism. And black men have never been under white men like that. Not to the point where we're following.
We've never been able to, even if we would have wanted to.
Yeah. So
it just has never been a logistical possibility for the vast majority of black men.
Yeah. So and even still, black men are not on this thing where we want to be validated by white men like that. It's never been like that. It's never been like that the same way. It's because our place in society has never been the same as what black women are in. They, they're given this illusion that they can be accepted, and that's why they pursue that. Versus we're really just pursuing at least what we need to do individually. What we have an issue is when we fail to take that very same thing and aggregate it as a group. But you're right. And at the end of the day, the manosphere is going to grow, and it may grow in ways that people don't like, and people just need to be able to buy and leave with that because the manosphere is nothing but a collection of channels. And at the end of the day, you should have more than enough channels to kind of get what you want out of the manosphere that you want to get. I'm not afraid of that change, even though I'll have my opinions on where that change needs to go. But I think this was a good conversation. But ultimately, man, utility matters. And anybody that I find, people who call it manhood, they call it utility. If you get to the point where you are of no utility, not even to yourself, but you think I'm going to respect somebody at the same level as somebody that is of utility not only to themselves but to others, people are going to have that disagreement. But with that being said, I appreciate all the super chats. I appreciate all the panel. We had this thing about 150, 160. You got to remember, I don't do a lot of panels, so I need to get better about doing panels to the extent that I can kind of let more people talk. I'm getting better at that because people don't just come to just hear me. They come to hear everybody else as well. But we'll deal with that as I do more. And with that being said, this is Edward and off. Peace. Also, I see you, Mr. Parker. Like I said, I got to redo my channel, so it's going to be some new channels I start promoting and stuff like that as well. So with that being said, it's been a good talk. Peace.